Man, listen, I'm sitting here getting ready to do the show, and I get on Twitter, and what do I see? Brother Hugh posing.
My bad, man.
We was waiting on you.
It's time to link up with the Brotherhood, aka Wrestling Realm.
Yeah, he was flexing too. You see the
Get
stretch?
your butt out of the studio and get in the studio.
Hey, my bad, man. I was feeling myself for a second, you know.
Yeah, you sure was.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. We got
energy, big energy.
Got the one and only, the real Dwayne Allen. We got Brother Hugh. We got the Wrestling Realm Now, and this is the Brotherhood. What's up, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Ooh, my gosh, I'm feeling lovely, lovely.
I'm feeling quite vegan after my vegan meal that I consumed.
You heard what he said. He feeling quite vegan after his vegan meal. But
He's on his DB tip.
Yep. Trying to eat clean.
Yep.
Trying
So,
to fix things.
so
Here he goes. Look, he's got the pen in his hand.
Yep.
no, real quick. So the realness started a trend here on Wrestling Realm Now, which is watching old wrestling, right? While the show is going on. So I was telling Hugh, I was telling Dwayne that I'm watching Backlash 01. And I remember the show not being that great, but it's not that bad now. But in succession with Royal Rumble 01, No Way Out 01, and then WrestleMania 17, then you give us this. But I'm seeing Kane, and I'm like, yo, why is he just doing, how he usually do this? I was like, I forgot they Triple H and Austin had messed up his arm, and I had to bring that up because we all know you're a Kane guy, brother.
Yes. My man Kane, man. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Remember,
this is for all the gold. Before there was this thing we about to talk about later, a unification match. Obviously, this was Austin was the world champ, Triple H was the Intercontinental champ, and Kane and Undertaker were the tag team champions.
Right.
Y'all remember who Triple H lost the Intercontinental title to?
Yes, Jeff Hardy.
Yep.
Of course he would know.
Do you remember the when they used to do SmackDown spoilers around this time?
No. See, around that time, you gotta remember that was kind of my last run. Like I was starting not to be as into it as listen, Dragon Ball Z came along, so things were starting to change.
So yeah, what happened was, this is around the time when more people were starting to get the internet, right? And I remember,
yep.
Yeah, so you either went on school, went to school and got on, or you had it at home. And I remember, shout out to Big Brother Brandon. He called me. He was like, hey, they got the little SmackDown spoiler. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, if you go on WWE.com on Tuesday evening or Wednesday, you can see what happened. And sure enough, he said Jeff Hardy's winning the Intercontinental Championship this Thursday. So that's how I found out. And I was like, that's weird. Like Jeff Hardy. And sure enough, he defeated Triple H.
Anybody gonna ask me what I'm watching today?
Yeah, what are you watching?
Hugh, I have to tell you because I mentioned it to Brian H already. I am watching the best of Shawn Michaels on Stupid Peacock, the WWE Network on Stupid Peacock. And it's the first match. It's the Iron Man match. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to kill a lot of time. It just doesn't get any better than Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels bro.
WrestleMania 12. Just
It's
you talking
perfect.
about two titans. It just doesn't get any better. Certain. No, don't make that face, man. You can't see me, but I can see you. Don't make that face. There's certain matchups you just never get tired of. I will never get tired of my favorite wrestler. 1A and 1B, no particular order. There's certain rivalries that just don't get old. You got Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You got Rock Austin, and dare I say now you have Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
Ooh. Wow, I just knew you was going to say Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles.
No, it's that was short lived. Like that wasn't
okay.
Like, think about it. Like we saw.
Well,
what I'm saying is
was
this,
it?
It's not.
Oh, never mind. Compared to those, you're right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, they met on multiple occasions for multiple different reasons. Austin Rock met on multiple occasions, and then like I said, look at Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They've met on multiple occasions for multiple reasons. Those, you can even and freaking Hogan Savage. Like, come on, man. You can do that any time they plays as long as they were healthy, and it was going to pop.
John Cena, Randy Orton.
John Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah,
I was wondering who John Cena's but I remember they gave us that so much in that decade. We were sick of it. But that was like they go hand in hand with each other, So certain rivalries just don't get old. And for me personally, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart doesn't get any better.
It doesn't, man. It doesn't. Those two are just magical together, man.
Just magical.
What's wrong, BH? What's wrong, BH?
You know it's wrong.
He's not.
You know
he's
it's
not
wrong.
Feeling it. There he go getting his
because Shawn never put Bret over afterwards. Once they got to the main event, but that's But there were some great matches. But you know what? Speaking of Shawn Michaels, I tweeted from Wrealm on Twitter. It's right on the screen, and I'm pretty sure it's in the description here. I tweeted Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart had a great chemistry that a lot of people don't talk about, because they had a lot of like good matches on Monday Night Raw during that New Generation era, especially as Shawn Michaels was after he got beat up by the people in Syracuse, and then you remember the Owen Hart kicking him in the head, and then they would they also had a match at like In Your House, and then what it was is I was watching Raw October-ish 97 as we're getting ready for Survivor Series, and Shawn Michaels and Owen was in the ring together. I was like, man, people sleep on their chemistry too.
I think it just got overshadowed. I mean, it's crazy about it. It's some of the best wrestling matches came out of that era, but it was a downtime in the business. It's crazy to think about it in these terms nowadays, but yes, that you're absolutely right. I mean, Owen Hart was ridiculous in the ring. Like you can tell how many people were influenced by his work when you saw who came after him, and even the people that he worked with. It's like anybody that worked with Owen Hart at some point took something away from that match and added it to their repertoire. Not necessarily his moveset, but how he performed, how he moved, how he combined Greco-Roman style with, kind of lucha libre high flying, and yet he could still punch you in the mouth. He had that, Canadian toughness, that comes from his father and just his family legacy. So, man, Owen Hart is unbelievable talent. Like we know him as fans, like, oh, we love Owen Hart the character, but his in-ring work is just forget how good he is. Yeah, he's phenomenal. You really sleep on it until you look back and go, good gosh, this is crazy. Like he told a whole story without saying any words. So
yeah, a lot of people
straight up, he's definitely one.
Oh, you went mute.
We lost your audio.
He's like, yeah, I know.
And the crazy part is, Owen was he was considered a smaller guy back in those days.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the crazy part is that his style of wrestling would become eventually the prototype for what we enjoy now, like the Kurt Angles. You know what I mean? Your Edge, the Christians. That kind of work rate, workhorse style of producing matches in the ring. So, quick shout out to Owen Hart.
You there, brother Hugh? He muted again. So I think he might have bumped his mic and it disconnected. And then StreamYard said, "Your mic is disconnected, brother."
That's all right. He'll be back on before you know it.
Yeah. It sounded like he looked like it. Is he there?
Oh yeah, is he back?
There
he is. Yeah, boy.
His brother Hugh feeling good because the Orioles won today.
It keeps going in and out.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
That's right. Keep toggling with it. It'll
But yeah, man.
Yeah, leave me.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
All right, yeah, I just unplugged the mic. I'm tired of it.
That's all good. You sound clear.
It
though,
could
so
be.
All
works.
right,
Yeah,
cool. All right, cool.
yeah.
Cool,
Sometimes
cool,
it be compatibility stuff. That's what happens with that box at church that I use. The hookup,
Mhm.
it won't work on this computer or
Or
a Mac computer.
Well,
But
sometimes
this
the devil is
mixer will.
just busy.
I was about to say it was working. It was working fine before the
Devil
show.
is
It
busy.
was.
Don't
Like,
want that
all
brother
right.
to be great. We good though.
See, it is what it is.
The devil is a liar.
Mhm.
He's not a lie. He's a liar.
Yeah, it means it's habitual. That's what he do.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah. So let's get into it. Since you know, I'm gonna break down the fourth wall again.
Here we go.
Uh-oh. He just keeps airing our business out to the streets, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, I wrote a rundown, and I
You
was told,
snitch.
throw this back.
Oh, geez. He gets a
But
kick
yeah.
out of stuff like that,
He
though.
does. He does.
Oh, you know, other people get offended, get mad. What do we get mad for? It's funny.
Nah, it's just, but see, he likes that kind of stuff. That's the crazy part about it. Like,
It means I know you're paying attention, brother. Yeah. You ever give somebody a prize like, hey, can you look at this? And then they be like, yeah, I'm gonna check it out, and then they don't say nothing. They're like, man, you ain't getting no feedback. I had like shout out to my boy Leo. He was like, yo, I'm gonna let you know now. I'm always gonna have something to say whenever I watch one of your videos. It was like for work, and when we was at the old place, and he was like, yeah, I'm always gonna have something to say. I said, I don't care. I said, I can take feedback. I appreciate it. That means I know you're paying attention.
did you
Absolutely.
appreciate feedback when Professor Red ripped your documentary?
Oh, hello.
Well, first of all,
She tore that she tore that draft to shreds. Oh, brother Hugh, I wish you could have saw it. Do you still have on file? Or did that get lost in one of the hard drives?
the actual video, the first video?
Not the documentary, the one you actually produced.
Yeah, it's
Nah.
it's on my one
It
of my
accidentally
pages.
got trashed.
You have the first
No,
one, the original.
Yeah.
I think that
No,
needs to go up for Throwback Thursday. Like,
I don't know if it's the original one, but it's definitely the one with like Steph and well, excuse
is
me,
that the one?
Mia Yim and Larry.
Ooh.
Is that the one she ripped?
Yeah, I think she ripped that one because she
Okay,
was
now,
like, I have a mic.
I didn't know if you still had the original file.
And then I got a B on it.
the original one that she ripped.
The original,
No.
because I don't think I had an opportunity to redo it.
You did.
Or maybe I added something else. All right,
Bro,
then I don't
because
have the original.
I don't think I was even on the original one. Like, you did it on your own, and then remember you interviewed me and they thought I was a wrestler because I had the toy belts on my
Oh
shoulders.
yeah, so that's the one that didn't get ripped. The
No,
shoes one.
that was the one. No, that's not why it didn't get ripped, but that was the one. That was the one that was like, okay, yeah, it was the same information. It was just presented better.
Yeah, and I don't have the original.
Okay, sorry. Since you're breaking fourth walls.
Yeah, that was funny though. Because I never forget, I said I'll interview a wrestler. She looked at me like this. You're going to interview a wrestler? Is there going to be anybody people know?
Yeah, she
I was like, yo, and then who would he interview? I had,
hey, look who's in here. I just seen
oh shoot, it's my brother.
Yes, indeed.
My brother Terrell in the building. Make sure
My
y'all
guy,
subscribe to Met Fitness, man. Make sure y'all subscribe. My brother, he watching. Yeah, he watching tonight. Oh man, but yeah, she saw the she gave me that look, and then I remember I said, yeah, I'm gonna have Derek Frazier and this, that, and the other. And then when we did that, and then she goes, so do anybody know who these are? And Amir, who would always like make fun of us for liking wrestling, but he would always put us over at the same time.
He did not. Amir did not make fun of us for watching wrestling.
No, what I'm saying is not in a bad way. He would say when
he would gas us
wrestler
up.
stuff. That's what I'm. Listen, remember. No, because he's taking it as I said, it wasn't in a bad way. He would always make the jokes. Like, you remember that time my hard drive got somebody stole it, but then they realized it was mine and they gave it back. and I was sitting there frustrated, and he came and he said, "See that wrestling stuff, like just real subtle."
Oh
smooth.
yeah, I'm tripping.
That's-
You absolutely
yeah,
right. I forgot.
that's
I was
what
like,
he would
wait a minute, he
do.
didn't rip us, did he? But he
He never ripped us, but he always
Yeah.
like he did it as a way to put us over.
Because he looked at me like Wayne, what you been doing on the weekends, bro? I said Detroit
Yeah.
Delta, man. What do you mean? Like, nah, bro. What's up? You got to tell us. I'm like, yo,
you a champion.
He said, Wayne, so what's up with you? Like, what you mean? Like, what you doing on the weekends, man? You got them belts on you. I
Right.
said, come on, bro.
Man, Wayne had to look
He
6'6".
did.
I don't know why.
Toned up.
I was about skinny. I was about 217 at the most.
They ain't know no better.
Light as a
Right.
feather with glasses on. Sitting on
Not
the
the
original
picture-
Wrealm set.
Not
That's
the picture
right.
you see right there.
No, see the picture right there is a little more refined. Look, I got a hat and a chain on.
That's right. He did have the glasses.
I still was wearing the frames. No contacts. All
Yep.
glasses.
Oh, snap.
Yo, that,
Straight astigmatism.
but yeah, and I remember he was like, "Yeah, I know D Phrase. Yeah, that's the man right there." And
Oh, yeah.
Professor Red, she just bought it.
Yeah, she bought everything. Amir said, "What?
Yeah.
What you mean, D. Frazier? You ain't heard of D. Frazier?" I said, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah." Like, oh, okay. But
That
see,
was when,
that
remember, DJ Flo was in our class.
yeah,
Oh my god.
DJ Flow's definite. Dwight Flowers Jr.
Oh dang.
And putting your whole New York government out in the streets, brother.
Oh, yeah, because he he might not have been at that class. He didn't come, like he would miss a few classes. Then he would come and be like, "Yeah, help her with bags," and yo, Dwayne would be like, "Yeah, see, look at him. He trying to get his grade up. And he'd go, "Come on, professor. I'm the best at Pro Tools that everybody in here."
Ernest was in that class. That group was we looked out for each
CJ.
other in that group though. CJ Butter was in that group.
CJ Butter.
We
Yo,
looked
that
out for
was
each other in
C-
that group though. That's why I
oh,
like
that was CJ's line too.
That was my favorite class. Like that's the one we all looked out for. Like we made sure, especially when Ernest did that, he interviewed himself and he got away with it. Couldn't believe
Yep.
it. But I'm not gonna get into it. That's you talk about finesse.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll find that. I got the other video somewhere. We can post that one with Dwayne with the glasses.
Oh no, don't post that. I forgot. I forgot I wore glasses on that one. We don't
I'm a screen record it just at that part.
that was old realness.
Yep. Oh boy, but yeah. So now that we got that out of the way, and now that we can have the real countdown, I mean the rundown that was realness approved.
Straight up.
I just added a little hot sauce to the season. That's all.
Definitely
Yeah.
did.
Wait, so we're gonna talk about Kuschida because at the time, Tony Khan didn't make this big announcement.
Well,
That
like I
the
said,
Wayne ain't buying.
we can transition into it because I definitely ain't buying it. But like I said, like that can come in the mix of all that.
All right, well, so Kuschida has left WWE, and to me, he was just there. To be honest with you,
I'm about to say,
no,
yeah. Okay. All right.
I was assuming like when he got there, he was gonna be this big deal. And no offense, but you know,
No, you
there-
didn't.
Right. You're lying.
No, because he was coming from Japan. But
What
then
does that-
again, but see, Hideo Itami had failed. So I was like, all right. But then Kuschida, I did see more personality, more charisma. But and when I say big deal, not world champion, but you know, kind of a bigger deal like in NXT or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, you know, he's gone.
I'm gonna tell you, Kushida got a bad rap.
Okay.
First of all, he's one of the top global superstars around the world. He was a big deal in New Japan, especially
Like Yoshitatsu.
a little bit more than Yoshitatsu.
Oh,
I was about to say, yeah, he's
because
yeah.
you got to remember Yoshitatsu was hot when like social media wasn't what it was, and like it was, you know, New Japan hadn't really hit the US the way that it did when Kushida kind of made a name for himself, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to remember his gimmick was very unique. He was the time splitter, so he had this very Marty McFly very look, you know what I mean? He you know, he was on a tag team with Alex Shelley, you know what I mean? And then he became a singles competitor, and then he was very integral in the Ring of Honor New Japan partnership, right? So we got a lot of Kushida matches in Ring of Honor. Like I said, Ring of Honor was in our backyard at the time. So we was exposed to him a lot. You know, he was in always in the television title picture.
I don't remember.
I mean, you I don't blame you because you know me that you know around that time I had this kind of reawakening when it came to Japanese everything. Like
I'm like, well, maybe I was gone by then.
No, I mean
Up
it was
north.
just you were. It was around that time.
Okay.
Like, it was around, you know, like I said, around that because I remember doing those when I got those DVDs, doing of like the height of Ring of Honor, and you were kind of focused on when you went up north. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
in New York.
I mean, that's kind of when he made a name for himself, right? Like I said, the American audience was exposed to Kuschida a lot. And he's like I said, he had such a unique gimmick. He was, you know, this whole Back to the Future guy. I remember at Wrestle Kingdom, he pulled up in a DeLorean. You know what I mean? That's anybody that's familiar with pop culture or Back to the Future was familiar with Kuschida. I think he just came at a rough time because he came kind of in the prime of NXT. So it's like people knew who Kuschida was, but he had been, by the time he came to NXT, the buzz in New Japan was and Ring of Honor was kind of slowing down, right? Like everybody was kind of making their way to NXT and making their way stateside, and then Kuschida shows up in the prime of NXT where everything's kind of hitting on all cylinders. So first of all, you had to fight for a spot to even get noticed. And then by the time, you know, a lot of those guys started to move on and Kuschida started getting more light, the cruiserweight division was already starting to get slighted a little bit. They were already starting to, you know, kind of take a back seat. You know what I mean? And his gimmick was what made him what he was. Like he was a time splitter. He was the Back to the Future guy. Like that's just what he was known for. You know what I mean? And then he kind of got to WWE, and then like I said, he just kind of fell in line. He didn't really fit in. Anyway, it was just so much talent. And like I said, with the cruiserweight, the smaller guys, 205 Live going down the drain. You know, he's an experienced guy, and he just kind of he got caught up at during a bad time. And like I said, now it's just definitely not a good time because cruiserweights aren't really being highlighted. If you can't transition now, you're in trouble because it's not a spot for you anymore. So, you know, and then he kind of went away from his previous look. And to me, that didn't really register. Like he started wearing like wrestling shorts instead of his actual time. And then he went back to his time splitters gear and stuff like that. So, you know, it's just, to me, it was all about bad timing. Like he stayed too late and got there.
Now. No, hold on. You know, that ain't how you say bad timing. Hit it, Hugh.
I have no idea what you're talking about, bro.
No,
what? Bad timing. Bad timing.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, I just think he just breaking the fourth wall. He just shattering it. Just hand him the sledgehammer.
Hey, I ain't embarrassed nobody with that one. Chill. Bad timing, guys.
Bad timing.
Yeah, so I mean that was Kuschida for me. Like he was always one of my favorites. I was excited for him to get there, but he just like I said, they had nothing for him. You know what I mean?
Got you.
And I think if he goes back to like New Japan, he'll be exactly to me. I think he'll be a bigger star in New Japan than anywhere else. Homegrown Japanese guy. He goes back and do the same thing he did before. He'll have a chance to kind of rise up in the ranks versus if he stays here and goes to AEW or Impact, he'll end up doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I was a huge Kuschida fan. Like I said, I remember his last run in Ring of Honor. He was television champion, one of my favorite runs. You know, although it was during a time where Ring of Honor it was kind of starting to fizzle out in regards to the popularity because, you know, majority of the players were gone. So, but I guess that transitions into what we really came here to speak about today.
What is that, brother?
Brian H.
Well, I mean, you was right there. I just thought you was gonna take it, but you know, here's the oop. So Tony Khan has decided to make another big announcement. This time, and
another one.
I'm really excited because we talked about it, but we didn't get the full breakdown. So it's time to cut the realness loose.
Yeah.
Because another big announcement.
Why you got the applauding to that? Like, why?
Because it was another big announcement. You know, you got to clap for those.
Was it a big announcement?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling are breaking the fourth wall. They are going through the Forbidden Door in Chicago at the Allstate Arena, which most people from Chicago will tell you that's not an easy arena to book. It's expensive, whatever, but it can seat the most people. but they're going to go back there, and I believe the last time they were there was when CM Punk came back.
Mhm.
So we're going to get this New Japan AEW Super Show.
Mhm.
How excited are you?
Let me ask you a question. This is to both. This is going to be a dialogue. This is not going to be a realness rant. Should that be a segment? Realness rant?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, I ran too much as it is.
I mean, you got Realness Reacts coming to Patreon. Make sure y'all subscribe.
Oh, you're gonna want to hear that one.
Yep, that is true.
Is it too little, too late at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I asked that. It's because love the name of it, love the idea of it, but it's like, well, it's like when all the Forbidden Door stuff was kind of happening. You know what I mean? I know there was a transition with New Japan's presidents. You know, the previous president, was kind of old schoolers when it came to competition. Versus the newest president of New Japan Pro Wrestling is more like, look, let's build community rather than competition, because I think if competition creates cash or prevents cash, I could understand that, right? Because the market's only but so big. But we're talking post or kind of late global pandemic. A lot of most of these wrestling promotions found it was easier to, hey, let's kind of be more of a community more than competition to make money so that our businesses can be sustained. But I wonder if it's too little, too late. When you look at New Japan, and I mean, New Japan's history is, beyond speaking. It always has its place in the lore of professional wrestling. But then you look at what New Japan was versus what New Japan is today, right? New Japan is kind of in a down period in regards to global popularity. I know they've been expanding, and I know they've already been doing talent exchanges with AEW, with like John Moxley, and then Jay Wright can kind of move and shake as he wants to. He's shown up on Impact and AEW. He does more things on Impact than he does AEW, of course.
Switchblade,
But then you have a lot of talent that's come in from Ring of Honor that are under contracts with AEW, and then you have a lot of guys that have signed with AEW that are former Ring of Honor guys that, we probably would love to see some matchups with some of the Japanese superstars of New Japan Pro Wrestling. But my thing is, personally, I'm like, as exciting as this is, I mean, first of all, they're smart for doing it in Chicago. I think that's genius, because that's a very core rabid wrestling audience. I think that's the perfect place to do it. Chicago, New York, obviously, but I'm not as excited about it. Is because there aren't many fresh matchups that I want to see. I lived through the Ring of Honor New Japan Pro Wrestling partnership, right? Like I said, it was in our backyard, so we were privy to a lot of good stuff, and not only stuff that we saw in person, but we were privy to a lot of good television, access to DVDs and stuff that most people probably don't even have access to now, because I don't know where you would go to try to buy a Ring of Honor DVD at this point. Especially with those those matchups, with those collaboration shows like Global Wars and War of the Worlds. They would do one in stateside and they would do one in Canada.
That's a good point.
Now, obviously with global pandemic, there was the issue with traveling. And I know a lot of guys, New Japan did a lot of stuff with a lot of American talent in the talent exchange, because they couldn't produce their, they weren't able, like, there's no way in the world the Good Brothers wrestle full-time in Impact if they were able to travel to New Japan. You know what I mean? When they got released way back when. The problem is, I've seen this before already. Like, I've seen everybody that you enjoy now in AEW, that you enjoy now in NXT, and even on the AEW, I mean on WWE's main roster, as well as Impact. I've seen them put on some of the best matches. I've seen the Shinsuke and the Tanahashis and the Okadas. Now there's a Kenny Omega's, there's Young Bucks, at the time. There's plenty of dream matches and scenarios that you would love to still see. And I think if it's done right, by all means, I think it's going to be a great show. But it's just like, same thing. I've seen this already. You know what I mean? And now you have to compete with me enjoying so much of what I've already seen and convince me that this is going to be just as good. Now, you don't have to do me personally, because I'm in the minority when it comes to the situation. But like, AEW has this handful with Ring of Honor, which we're going to touch bases on as we transition out of this one. But it's like, what is AEW supposed to do? Like, I think it'll be a good show, but I think there's going to be a lot of missing elements. You know what I mean? Like, outside of a few guys like Tanahashi, Okada, Kota Ibushi. There's plenty of guys in New Japan that people still love to see, but it's like, I mean, I get it and I appreciate it, but it's just like I've seen it already. Like, you know what I mean? Of course, we're gonna get Adam Cole versus somebody, but like, there's no Cody Rhodes anymore. You know what I mean? Right now, I don't know what Kenny Omega's health looks like. So he was a big part of that. Like, these guys came from New Japan. The Young Bucks, same thing. Like, all these guys cut their teeth and have so much crazy history in New Japan. Like, I'll put that stuff up against a lot of things that I'm watching to this day. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
So there's nothing out there that you like, I guess no dream matches that you really want to see?
I would have loved to seen Cody and Tanahashi.
Okay.
They're very similar in presentation. You know what I mean? Of course, you're fortunate enough to see stuff like Samoa Joe and Tanahashi, or Samoa Joe, but like Samoa Joe's older, so that's one of the issues that WWE's having right now, is that all their younger talent, or by the time their talent is kind of getting to where they need to be, they're older. And Brian H and I, we've all kind of had a small conversation about it in our group text amongst the brotherhood, that Triple H finally came clean about what we love so much, and NXT transitioned to NXT 2.0, and why they've kind of changed their approach and who they're recruiting. It's because at the end of the day, they're like, well, the reality is we have to get younger. Because like I had no idea Damian Priest was 39. Yeah. Like, he's just getting started in WWE and he's 39. Right. Like, he hadn't even had a solid run yet. I'm like, man, he's already at the end of his rope. Shayna Baszler, by the time she got to the main roster, she was 38. Like, she's 40 now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know when she got there. What I'm saying, but it's like, oh, okay, I guess you got a point. WWE has never been the kind of, we're just gonna ride the talent till they get older, because they've always had these youth movements, and that's just kind of their history. Right. Although the guys they've released still have staying power and star power, companies like AEW can benefit off their last runs rather than Vince McMahon's attitude of, we got to build new stars for the future. It's good that we have all these established names, but they got to move on at some point.
So let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead.
Now, I was about to say, I think Bobby Fish got cut because he was older. When Bobby Fish was one of the he was the first one from Undisputed Era to get cut. I said I know they cut him because of his age. They're like, we don't want to have another 42-year-old coming up from developmental. You know what I mean? I think Triple H admitted to it, like, look, man, we kind of lost what this was really about. Like, we weren't here just to build a third brand. We still had to develop people, but they were down here for so long, nobody wanted to leave. But it's like, how much can you really get out of them in the future? Because like a Tommaso Ciampa's, he's very relaxed, and he's not the kind of guy that he's like, look, man, I'm not here to cause a lot of noise. Whatever they give me, I'll do happily. Yeah, because he's 36. You know what I mean?
I'm 36.
You know what I mean? Like, he's 36, just getting started. Like, AJ Styles is 40, whatever he is,
and 40 plus,
and Bobby Lashley is 45. They're just getting main event runs, but look at their careers up to that point, though. They've done so much versus a Damian Priest. He's just getting started at 39. So you kind of understand why they have this attitude of, hey, we got to start going after kind of young. Let's get these younger guys started a little bit earlier. Let's get them established now. And we see it in Braun Breaker. You know what I mean? Yeah. We see it in guys like Hook and AEW. Like, they're not wasting any time anymore. Like, because it's like, well, time is of the essence. And it's like, well, we need staying power. We need drawing power. Like, we don't have a lot of time for these guys to figure it out at this age, because how much time do you get? Like, Damian Priest in 5 years will be 46 years old. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can't be Diamond Dallas Page. See, back in the day, it was only one Diamond Dallas Page, like getting started at 30. You know what I mean? Yeah. And winning his first world title at 40. You know what I mean? That was, so it's just like, you when you see that kind of stuff, you kind of understand why. So it's like, when you talk about dream matchups, it's like, sure, you want to see Okada. I want to see Okada versus who in AEW? Chris Jericho? Like, I want to see Okada versus who? Cody Rhodes? Shoot. Like, I don't want to see him against Sammy G, and some fans do, but I'm like, who does that benefit in the long term? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Now,
I think
when would have been?
I think it'd be cool to see Okada and Tanahashi on in American television again, to expose the
without a doubt,
guys.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Those two guys deserve, because those guys were on the same level as Shinsuke, but Shinsuke surpassed both of them just being a part of the WWE.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, in a main event program at WrestleMania at 34, with AJ. I guess the question would have been though, like when would have been the time? If we think about this Forbidden Door with AEW and New Japan, what would have been the time?
I don't think they would have had one just because of a global pandemic. It just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
Like they just
Gotcha.
you can't stop travel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you can't leave the country, if Japan was on lockdown on quite a few occasions because of outbreaks they were trying to control, their end of it, like you can't blame companies for that. That's why, like, I was looking at, and they were doing all the U.S. shows, like they were on U.S. soil, and it was like a lot of American talent. It was very few, if any, Japanese stars on those shows. You know what I mean? It was like the guys that didn't need visas to travel that were able to get in and out of the country. Because when they kind of let up a little bit, yeah, I could imagine it'd be a traveling nightmare if you need a work visa to try to travel versus someone like, well, I'm American, I can go back and forth. You know what I mean? So it's, man, I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, man, I'm glad, but it's like that the Forbidden Door. What the best time I say this is when the Forbidden Door was open.
Okay.
The first time when everybody was doing it, if Jay White and all those
throw
guys
them in the mix.
Yeah, like when all that stuff had happened the first, because it would have done is it would have left this surprise element for the wrestling fans that were clamoring to the wrestling product due to a global pandemic. So when everybody was kind of jumping ship and kind of teasing who would come in, who would leave, and who was going to show up on what show, I think that would have been a perfect time to do it. And you didn't need to have a whole lot of crazy talent because Kenny Omega was still healthy. Imagine it being done when Kenny Omega won all those belts. You know what I mean? And then they allowed, Kota Ibushi to bring the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship over to the, you know what I mean? Like you're going to tune into that match because you're going to say, I know Kenny Omega's not about to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. You know what I mean?
Again, as a part of AEW.
Exactly. Or Okada. You know what I mean? Like those would have been the would have that I think would have made it that much more spectacular. But it's like, oh, it'll be great. But it's just like, doesn't really have as much buzz because we're not as exposed to New Japan as we used to be with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, every time New Japan had a star they were working on, they would send them to the States to do an excursion. They were in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We saw it with Shinsuke. We saw it with Jay White. Jay White used to come out there, because you don't have a gimmick until you work States until you go back, and then they give you a gimmick. Shinsuke was over here at one point. We got to expose to him. We got exposed to Tanahashi. We got exposed to AJ Styles. We got exposed to the Young Bucks. Those guys weren't signed to Ring of Honor at one point. AJ Styles was eventually. You know what I mean? And the guys like who was I thinking about? Like Kenny Omega never came over in any of those pay-per-views. Like he was never a part of those things. It was always AJ, the Bucks, the Bullet Club, the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. They were New Japan guys. OG Good Brothers. They were working Ring of Honor. So like we were exposed to New Japan way more back then because of the partnership. Now it's like, I mean, like I said, thankfully it's in Chicago because I think that wrestling audience is going to be very familiar with what they decide to give us at the end of the day. But
that crowd gonna be hot.
It just doesn't feel the same.
We might have to take a road trip.
I mean, maybe, or like I'll give you a prime example. Like say you take one of your biggest stars in New Japan, you take one of your biggest stars in AEW, you do Moxley versus Tanahashi. Oh, wait a minute, we saw it already,
right?
Because Moxley beat Tanahashi for the IWGP United States Championship. Like, come on, man! Like it's stuff like that. I'm like, well, and I appreciate bringing it to a bigger audience. Kind of like, look, he's looking for it.
No,
kind of like.
No, because I was looking. No, it's there, but like
as a matter of fact, where's my U.S. title?
My kid, my nephew was in town, and so he was over here playing with the spinner belt, and I was like, "Oh, they ain't knock him," but they didn't know.
Oh, okay, he was saying like, "Wait a minute, my nephew was here. Let me check my." Okay, I just want to double check real quick. But yeah, man, I mean, that's just man. Like I don't know. Like who's the top baby face right now in AEW?
It's your boy Page, ain't it?
Right, it's Hangman Page. Like, okay, so you take Hangman Page versus Kota Ibushi. That's like they're two guys that have very little personalities when it comes to boisterous professional wrestling presentation. Like they're great in ring guys. Like that's what they're known for, right? Yep. Like Hogan's not known for his work in the ring. He's known for being the personality and the character and the boisterous presentation of Hulk Hogan, right? That's what you pay to see. You don't pay to see him, brother. That's why children never complain about his wrestling moves. You pay for the experience, right?
He's trash.
What are we paying for with Kota Ibushi and Hangman Page? Or do we get Hangman Page versus Tanahashi? To me, that's one-sided. Hangman Page doesn't belong in the ring with those guys. I know he's a champion.
I'm gonna be real with you. He doesn't.
Like, come on now. Like,
he's
when we
not
saw,
on that level.
like when AJ Styles showed up in New Japan, we were like, okay, this is something we haven't seen before. So when he got in the ring with Shinsuke, when he got in the ring with Okada, when he got in the ring with Tanahashi, like, those are your guys. Like, if Tanahashi and Cody would have been perfect, like two pillars of a company, you know what I mean? But it's like now, to me, a lot of that star power is gone. Like I said, Kenny not being there or being healthy, I don't know what his status is. From what I'm hearing, like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah,
it sounds
well.
It kind of sounds like a desperate move since Cody left.
I think so.
Ooh, just to kind of keep up with the WWE, you know.
But you are though, because now you're still reaching out for other talent to draw you a number. What does that say to your roster? What does that say to your locker room? Where like you constantly collect. Like Cody made a comment, because this is what we do. Cody made a comment about Tony being excessive with the signings. His thing was like, we don't have to sign everybody. He's like, no, they're talented, they're a great asset to what we should. And then but now you have this oversaturated roster of very similar wrestlers, right? And very little personalities that can put butts in the seats. Like if the wrestling fans is saving your company because they're the only reason that they show up every week, because they don't care what you put out there, they're going to support you regardless, which is what the community does, right? But where do you go from there? Like, you have all these bodies on your roster, and now you're doing another partnership show. It made sense when you had to share talent because of the financial situation of the business when it comes to the effects of a global pandemic. Now you're still doing it, and you have all those people on your roster, and they got all of them. They're not going to show up on the show. I'm assuming it's going to be the biggest and the brightest from New Japan against the biggest and the brightest of AEW in some way, shape, or form. See, New Japan used to book shows 5 hours straight and had something for everybody. And the first matches, they even had old head matches. They would have guys they were almost in their 50s, 60s having one more match. That's the nostalgia run. Then they're going to have an 8-man tornado tag team match. It's going to be 4 tag teams, no rules, no in-ring. Whoever pins so and so forth. Young Bucks, you should go flying around. Then you're gonna have a championship match from another company, whether it's an NWA title or the Ring of Honor title being defended. Like, it was. That's just how they book their shows, because that's how wrestling in Japan is booked, as competitive wrestling based. It's not like, well, you need a storyline for each situation. No, it's a showcase. That's how they book their matches.
I was about to say it's completely different over there.
That's how the audience take it.
And that's the biggest difference. Like, they'll pay to see that because that's their audience, right? That's why they do the Tokyo Dome every year. You got to bring that to the American audience now. Now, what are you supposed to do? Like where does it lead? Yeah. But hey, I think it'll be a great show at the end of the day. I'm just not excited. But I'm like, well, I've seen it before. Like, I'm not. Oh my gosh, I got to see this. Well, what am I really going to see that I have not seen already? That honestly I have not seen better versions of. So
I just want to see it because it's a big announcement.
Another one.
Yeah. I gotta check it out just off of that.
Yeah, it's like the other day. Shout out to Jack Farmer of the Mac Mania podcast and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood watching. We had Eric Bischoff on Mac Mania earlier this week, and one of the things he talked about was that those numbers not moving. Now, a lot of people aren't educated in ratings and shares. Myself and the real Dwayne Allen, we did take Professor Adamo's class. So we have a healthy education on that.
I got an 82 in my final exam.
Oh, I got it there. I got 90, bro. I almost had 100 in that class. I ain't gonna lie. Like, that was like first semester back in school. I was like,
right. This was locked in. I was in a class with too many. Never mind. That's all right.
You was in that class.
Yeah, I was, man. They was tripping. All I know is I got an 82.
Man, but one of the things like he talked about was like you're leading and not over not being better than like your leading shows, and he said like if another company comes like, look, I can put a better channel or a better show here, they're not doing enough to prove because they're not growing. So eventually, like you said this plenty of times right here, what's going to happen when the non-wrestling fan be like, that's in the executive seat, be like, look, bro, enough of this. We ready to pull the plug, you know. And of course, we don't want to see that happen. We wrestling fans, but just looking at it from that business perspective, you know, it's like that's why like these excessive stuff just doesn't work, you know. And it takes me to the ROH and AEW partnership. How do y'all feel that's going? Because me personally, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's just like it doesn't seem well. I know Tony Khan bought it, right? But it just feels like WCW being bought by WWE, which, you know, if you remember, a lot of those WCW guys kind of got pushed to the back burner, with the exception of a few. And then you start seeing, you know, sure, Gresham is doing his thing and he's winning on TV. But not everybody else, you know. It's like, all right, I guess I'm assuming clearly they didn't sign Rhett Titus because the belt came off of him quick. And same with the Briscoes. But like to me, those were the people who were like harder ROH, you know. The people who were like the mainstays, you know. We was at that show, me and brother Hugh, that last show. Those guys got the huge pops, you know. And to me, it just looks like it's you know, it just looks like they're being little brothered. You know, I don't see it as, I just look at it like, all right, it's, you know, yeah, it's the ROH title, but it ain't the same.
I guess I'm curious about the longevity of what they're doing, right?
With the letters ROH,
just in general, like what are you doing with the company? Like one thing is obvious, right? Well, Ring of Honor kind of shut the operations down for a while. They released everybody out of their contracts,
right?
So nobody had exclusive contracts as far as I'm concerned. I'm just a fan. I don't know for sure, but that's just what I was privy to as far as information was concerned, right? So Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor, and now you're saying like Ring of Honor titles defended on AEW. Like, how long do you plan on doing that? Like, what's the end game, right? So we see one obvious trend, right? We see the Ring of Honor titles. First of all, they went back to the old titles for whatever reason. It might be a licensing thing.
Woo! My bad. I saw Tajiri like about to get powerbombed by Kidman, and then he spit the mist in his face.
See, it's classic. You know, it takes you back, doesn't it?
Tajiri, yeah, boy. That was my man, the Buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw, but he got Tori Wilson, who I'm not sure if she's married to Kidman yet, but you know, clearly they would get married. But like, she's with Tajiri right now. You know, she's got on a long robe and whatnot because he wanted to keep her covered up.
Did we acknowledge Jack Farmer's in the building? Did we acknowledge that?
Yeah, he did.
I did.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, Jack Farmer of the Mac Mania podcast.
Okay.
Oh man, I forgot his other shows, but
Come on, man, don't do that.
For Hollywood.
There we go.
That's my guy. Yeah, Championship. I did no, because he has another show that escapes me right now because they cover NXT UK. So make sure y'all check that out. Him and Flobo Boyce. But then he also is one of the ring announcer. I mean, color commentator for Championship Wrestling for Hollywood, and he works with Santino's brothers. So yeah, Jack's a busy man, and he's a DJ.
Hey, getting that money.
Hey, we wanted a smooth DJ. Like most DJs wear, you know, shirt and just regular shirt. Jack wear full suit. Yeah, y'all gotta check out his photos.
See, that's unique, man. That's somebody that understands the business.
That's marketing right there, baby.
There it is. Like imagine you going to a party and you see your brother fully suited out. You're like, oh yeah, that's somebody you're gonna remember.
Right.
But like I said, I really don't like where is this going to go? So you take all the titles off anybody that's not contracted to AEW. So you pretty much have all AEW guys with Ring of Honor titles, right?
Yeah.
But they're not like Ring of Honor guys that are being not used in the moment. They're like Ring of Honor guys. They're like AEW guys. I mean that are like on your show, like Wheeler Yuta and stuff like that. Like, wait a minute, these are guys. You have two companies under one roof. Another set of titles to be defended, another set of titles to be carried around. And it's like, as a wrestling fan, we all applaud Tony Khan for being a wrestling fan. That's one thing he'll always get respect for. But as a businessman, you say, dude, where is this really going? Like, what's the end game? Like, are you going to let Ring of Honor stand on its own? And how do you plan on doing that? Do you mean you have to sign even more talent? Because now you're responsible. So what are you going to do? You're going to just book talent per show and then keep all the titles on your contract to AEW guys, because that would say that's the smart business thing to do. But then it's like, well, at some point as a fan, you're going to feel gypped like, well, all the Ring of Honor guys, all the AEW guys never lose the titles. Like, so why am I going to pay to see a guy like Rush or Bandito come back to defend against the championship when I'm like, well, the dirt sheets are going to pretty much air it out. Yeah, they've been booked for the show, but they're not in a contract to Tony Khan. So that audience is what Ring of Honor and AEW has, like the smart mark audience, like the smarts, like they're going to look at that stuff before they go to the show. Well, what are the chances? Is it going to be a good match? Sure, but do I really think he's going to win? No, because obviously one guy's contracted to the guy that owns the company, and the other guy's just being booked for the show. Which leads me to my next point as we transition. I think, and I want to get everybody's perspective on this. My next question, I guess, will be as we kind of evolve with this concept is, how would you book Ring of Honor now in Tony Khan's position? Because we're not here to criticize, but it's just like, look, how do we figure this out? And we're qualified because we were there in the heyday. Like, that's something no one can ever take away from us. What I'll say in a moment is how I would book Ring of Honor is I would book it still like an indie promotion, like they were doing at one point, where I would only have big shows, but I would have like Ring of Honor matches and stuff, the titles contested on some type of show. Like, get rid of one of your dark shows, get rid of one of your AEW dark shows, and put your Ring of Honor product as a separate brand online, right? The same way NWA is. They kind of do studio television. Same thing. Like, put it in the Impact Zone. You know, that's where AEW Dark is. I mean, something in that regard. Like, it don't have to be big and fancy because it was already an indie fed, right?
Yep.
You can take your young talent that's not being utilized, and you can have them compete on the show. Make it look different. Like, this is the thing. It's to me, it's simple. You can take all that AEW talent that's not being used, and you can trick the entire wrestling audience into thinking they're watching a completely different program and a completely different wrestling promotion if you just make it look different, right? All those people that you putting on Dark, you can send them to Ring of Honor, and you could have them wrestle for the pure title and wrestle Samoa Joe for the television title. So one, you get your money out of Samoa Joe. Two, he's working with young talent. Three, the show's not going to be looked at as a third, as like a dark show. You know, that many people consider, a downgrade.
Dark.
You know, they got dark, and they got dark elevation and dark escalator and dark, stairwell.
Dark.
You know what I mean? And it's like, let them go out there and do what they do. Yeah, because that's what Ring of Honor did. They had to establish guys, but they brought in young talent, and you can book them per appearance. You don't got to sign those guys, right?
Yeah.
You can book it as an online program, and it's like, and then you can still do your big shows, and then you can have your AEW guys be the ones put the butts in the seats, right? You can have, if you have a Ring of Honor show that's online, and you can have FTR come and cut a promo or whoever you want them to wrestle. Say a young up and coming tag team wants to run their miles, then you can send FTR to the arena. So when you do your big shows, you know, even if something like the UMB Event Center, where it's like it's a big arena, but it's, you know what I mean? You can.
I was going to say that
the same way you booked that last show, where you sent certain AEW talent to that show to make it what it was. You can do the same thing for all your pay-per-views. It doesn't have to be. You could do 3, 4, 5 a year. It don't have to be that many. If you know, just do your 4 big ones or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And then you can use them sparingly. So then a lot of those talent that's not being used in AEW, you know, on a regular basis, or don't fit into the natural storylines, you could just book. Like, it can be, Ring of Honor has the potential to be AEW's NXT, but it's like you got why did you buy the company in the first place? Is it just to keep it alive? Is it just for the
that's the real,
you know what I mean?
Right,
is it just for the catalog? Because now you have 2 wrestling companies under one roof, and one is clearly inferior to the other, but you're trying to give guys an opportunity to show what they can do. But it's like, are we really watching Ring of Honor, or are we just watching guys that are signed to AEW / Ring of Honor? And it's like, give them their own show if that's the case.
But you know, so I would take that concept that you just said, but I would actually, you know, go back to those cities that Ring of Honor cut their teeth in. You know, your Baltimore, your Philly, Chicago. Did they hit North Carolina? I can't remember if they hit like Greensboro or something, or Charlotte. But you know, some of those cities, those key cities, that's where I would put those shows at, right?
I don't think he can do that though.
Why not?
He don't want to spend the money on that.
Well, yeah.
Wait,
well,
no, you talk about the big shows, the pay-per-views?
Even for the pay-per-views.
Okay, that's different. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not seeing them doing weekly shows.
Got
you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. You're right.
I agree with your weekly concept. of putting in getting like studio style, or even if it's shoot, do it in Jacksonville, right? That's your home base.
Daly's place, exactly, bro. Exactly. Do it at Daly's place. You already did it there.
Yeah,
Right.
And for goodness sake, change the lighting or something. Just don't let it look like AEW Rampage, Dark, Elevation, and Dynamite.
That's I blame their freaking marketing department, because one of the things is they talk so much trash about Hugh. He's going to get kicked out of this marketing guy. he talks so much trash about Eric Bischoff and all the mistakes he made in WCW, so on and so forth, right? But are you studying all the things that they did right? One of the main things that Eric Bischoff said he did was like, I had to make Thunder look completely different from Nitro, which he did. Yep. It was the blue brand, right? Like,
and Cass was excited when Thunder made the Peacock,
and see,
people got excited.
Yeah, because Thunder was a staple, because it was a second show that we weren't expecting to get, right?
Yep.
And once again, what was Thunder there to do? It was there to showcase talent that weren't always involved in main storylines, right? And it was also a filler show to fill in the gaps between Nitros, right? So like Kevin Nash, like I watched Thunder every week to see what was going on with Booker T and Fit Finlay, or Chris Benoit, or anybody else associated with that level of talent. But also, guess what? It was going to start out with Macho Man promo. It was going to start off with Kevin Nash promo, and they hated it because they had to just show up. They're like, that's the extra day of travel. They didn't even have to wrestle. They had attitudes just because they had to be there. Kevin Nash is like, man, I gotta make an extra traveling day, and one of them might be in a main event, but you was gonna see DDP, you was gonna see your workhorses, and then they was gonna tell you everything you missed on Nitro.
Man,
and they will pull you in.
For me, that was prime time. Like if I was getting a haircut at my grandmother's house, can I get a cut on Thursday? Whole time it's just so that I can make sure I can be in there. Thunder carry have cable.
There it is.
That's the experience, right? We talked about last week.
And that's what's lost in professional wrestling. It's like, man, you can't keep shooting for the instant gratification, because that's what the fans want. And it's like, you have to make it an experience. And I'm like, dude, if you bought this company and you really had no plans, your attitude was just, I just wanted to save it because I didn't want it to be lost. I respect that and I appreciate that, right? But I mean, that's my suggestion. Like, put it somewhere different. Make it like NXT. NXT looked very different from what we saw on Raw and SmackDown. Even when they first started out at Full Sail, right? Smaller capacity, completely different look. Black and gold. You know what I mean?
Indie feel. It gave you the indie feel.
They gave you high production and a small atmosphere. Like that was WWE's indie, and that was what they capitalized on. Which is why all the indie guys say, well, shoot, WWE's got a show just for us. Like, we may not be good enough for the main roster, but they've got WWE style programming and booking and lighting and presentation on a smaller level. Of course, they destroyed it. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's and the Adam Cole. They have been working the indies for years. They know exactly what to do. And they just flourished underneath Triple H's vision of what NXT was. Problem is, nobody wanted to leave after that. You know what I mean?
Sure,
so, it's like, what are we supposed to do with this, and where does it go? Like, I was immediately worried when I saw they had to pull the titles. I figured they were going to rebrand Ring of Honor, because, usually when it's a new, like when they first brought Ring of Honor, when Sinclair Broadcasting bought Ring of Honor, new logo, new belts, everything, which I really enjoyed. Now you're seeing small stuff like all of a sudden the old tag titles, the pure titles back, and it's just like, okay, there might be some licensing issues. Ring of Honor had to change their belts because they were reproducing those belts that were designed by Dave Milligan, I think. And he was like, well, I'm not getting commission off my belt designs. These are licensed titles. You guys don't own these designs. And they weren't giving them a cut when they was making replica belts. I didn't get one, which is why they had a random change of the Ring of Honor titles. They got a new world title, new 6-man, new television, is because they were selling those replicas and they just only had license. They were licensed. They didn't own those, and they didn't cut in the belt. They didn't cut in the designer. So naturally it was a legal issue. And I didn't like the new belts after the old. I love the old ones, like the one Hughes got sitting back there that he was posed with earlier.
Right there.
There it is. There it is. Like that belt, that world title is a beauty.
It is. It is.
And it's one of my favorite championships. So it's like, it's stuff like that. They got the old titles, and it's like, if like you got all AEW guys holding your titles, it's like, and then you're seeing the titles defended on AEW Dynamite. I'm like, give them their own show. But I don't know. I just, once again, I've seen this before. I don't know what the plans are, but I mean, it's a wait and see situation. But I mean, that's just my take on it.
I don't think he knows what he's doing actually. But
he's impulsive to me.
Yeah, it's just
Bye.
Right, every move he makes is based off of what WWE is doing. So it's like, all right, okay, it doesn't really make sense, but okay, let me just go ahead and buy it because I don't want them to have it. It seems kind of petty to me. But
man, that must be nice, right?
Battle of the Billionaires.
What? Tell me about it. Like, what's AEW's real identity? Are they really like a indie type of?
They don't have
or wrestling company, or are they entertainment type company? Like, what are they? Are they they're not really a mixture? So it's like I don't know. There's no source of direction.
And that's what I've been saying since the beginning. It's like, what are they known for? Like with WWE, whether you like it or not, you know what they're there to do: entertain you, right?
Absolutely.
AEW, I think what AEW does well is they, like I said, they have captured that alternative wrestling audience. But like I said, once again, Tony Khan is not satisfied with that. He wants that alternative wrestling audience to be just as big as sports entertainment audience, and it's just not, because the sports entertainment audience has been around for over 60 years, and it's like, and he's just fighting tooth and nail to prove that no, this style of wrestling is just as popular as the other stuff, and it's like you can't do that, because now you book yourself into a corner, right? And it's like I appreciate the fact that you have the resources and the finances to make some of these things happen, and I appreciate, but it's like, yo, be satisfied in what you do well, because if he, I think they will be in such a better space if they took what Ring of Honor did in its heyday, 14 to 16 in my mind, and put that on steroids, because they have the money to do so. There was a lot of things that Ring of Honor couldn't do because financially it just wasn't in there. Like Sinclair Broadcasting, they were a piece of a bigger conglomerate that had nothing to do with professional wrestling. Tony Khan's put all his money into professional wrestling. I'm like, yo, if you take that audience, you take that approach, you take all that stuff that they've done, and like, you have a lot of their same talent, and you have a lot of that same young talent that came up on that stuff that are eager to do the same thing. When you have young and eager talent, you have a recipe for potential greatness. TNA had it, WWE had it at one point, which is why Vince went with a youth movement during the new generation. He said, Flair, listen, I gotta go young. I got some young talent. I'm gonna put them in the right space. And Flair said, I appreciate you telling me. I'll go back and take Turner's money. And guess what he gave us? He gave us Bret Hart. He gave us Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor, because he said, I got young, hungry talent. TNA had that same young, hungry talent. Guess what? They're in WWE now. They're on their 40s. The Samoa Joes, the Bobby Roodes. At one point, the Eric Youngs, the AJ Styles, the Christopher Daniels in AEW. Like, they had a young, hungry group. You know what I mean? AEW has that same young and hungry group, but it's like now they've lost their luster a little bit, right? Yeah. Instead of just taking it and running with it, he wants to take it and make it something else. And a lot of people probably blame Cody because, it came out, reports came out. We don't know if this is true or not, but hearsay. Well, Cody, we weren't interested in competing with that. Like, that was Cody's thing. Like, yeah, it might have been, but at the end of the day, didn't y'all just say that Cody wasn't in charge? Jericho said it.
Cody take my word for it. Back home. That's what he did it for.
Jericho went on Kurt Angle's podcast and said, I think people had the idea that Cody was in charge, but he wasn't. Tony Khan was always in charge. Right. So you can't say Cody wanted to go to war with WWE. At the end of the day, they didn't have to. Somebody agreed with it. Whoever makes the decisions backstage and whoever has the final say, which most likely is Tony Khan. Yeah. Right. You made that decision, brother. You decided you wanted to go at them on that level. And it's not working. Instead of just saying, look, we're going to take everybody else,
stay in your lane,
and then we're going to build this audience, and then we're going to take what we do best and make it grow. And it's like, if they just did that as far along as they are, I think they would be a lot further, because when Ring of Honor and New Japan did their partnership, you know why the wrestling product was so good is because it was full of talent that just didn't care. They thought, we're not going to make it to WWE anyway. They came out there and gave us the best they had to offer.
Swinging.
Because they didn't care. And guess who was in that company? You had the AEW World Champion. He was in that company during that time. Hangman Page was walking around, like I said, with BJ Whitmer and Punishment Martinez, who is Damian Priest now, in their little devil group before Kevin Sullivan showed up and took over that whole situation. They were all in that company during that time. Hangman Page was BJ Whitmer's young boy. He was coming in the ring and he had to hold him. That was the gimmick. He was making him carry his towel and the spit buckets and stuff. And eventually he got Kobe Korean and all those guys involved. Like, we seen some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that was a thing. That was a thing. Like all that talent was under one roof at one point in time. Those guys have emerged, they have grown, and look where they are. Those guys are leading the business right now. Hangman Page is one of the guys I said, man, if he ever develops some personality, he left all those other places so he could do that. The guy's world champion now. I've seen more from him in his last couple of years in AEW than I've seen in his entire career, which is an excellent thing. That's what you want to do. You want to grow, you want to evolve, you want to develop. And he's still growing, evolving, and they're smart for taking a young homegrown guy and putting the title. Everybody thought that was going to be the original guy that won the title before it was Jericho. But we hit a global pandemic and things change.
No, what's it called? Got his visa issue, Pac.
No, I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying though. Like originally, it was supposed to be Pac and Adam Page for the AEW.
Yeah, that
Pac.
was before the pandemic,
and that's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. That was the original plan at first, but then the pandemic hit, and they went with Jericho when they finally got everything off the ground and all the kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like Adam Page ended up being a tag team with Kenny Omega for his first run. You know what I mean? And they did some great stuff with the Elite and the what was that group called? What was Jericho's group called? The beginning and the beginning of AEW. Shoot,
what it's called.
What did they call
the
themselves?
Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle.
Yeah.
That's completely on me. I'm not downplaying that by any means. That was some good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But speaking of groups and stuff, let's talk about these tag teams in wrestling.
In wrestling?
Now explain why in the world we're talking about tag teams in this particular day. Break it down, Brian. That's what you do. Get it? That was the show.
Yes, sir. So the tag team business has been actually popping lately. You look at things because all right, even in WWE, right? So we knew when we got AEW that tag team division because they was gonna focus on because you obviously had the Young Bucks and since the idea was that Vince McMahon hates tag teams, AEW said, well, we're going to show you that we can have a lot of tag teams, whatever, right?
How long did that last, Brian H?
That what the tag teams was important, but at the top
in AEW. Yep.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. You're guaranteed whenever there's a tag team match, you're guaranteed to have a great match, right? But I mean, who's the tag champs? Jurassic Express,
Jurassic Park, bro. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. To me personally, it went downhill since then. I like the belts when it was better with the Bucks or FTR. I just felt like the stories was better. That's a personal thing. But I'll tell you this. When I look at WWE and I look at what they're doing, I've been enjoying their tag team division. You got Otis
had a crazy tag team match at WrestleMania, by the way.
Night
2. Yep.
Yeah, definitely night 2 with the Street Profits, RK Bro, Otis and Gable, and there's another team. Yeah, that was it, right?
I believe so.
That was it.
Yeah, because the women had a good tag team match, and that was a fatal 4-way. But you're starting to see that WWE is slowly but surely putting more of an emphasis on the tag team division. You throw Randy Orton somewhere, it's automatically credible, right?
In main event status.
Yeah, no matter what. That's what we wasn't getting before. It was like, all right, you got tag teams, whatever. Shout out to Neuro TNC watching on Twitch. But you get, like I said, you put Randy Orton and Riddle, it makes it a big deal. When I tell y'all, like at WrestleMania, I don't know how well it came off of television, but that crowd was hot.
No, it was.
It was hot for Randy Orton. I was like, oh man, they not losing the belts. Even if they was, somebody gonna make a call now, keep the belts on them. Because they were that hot. Then you had the Usos, you had the New Day. Those teams, they were always going to be doing what they do, right? They're like, shoot, I can't even think of a tag team two teams you would put together. I'm gonna just say the Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation, right? You put them two, it's gonna be a good match. That's what you got with the Usos and the New Day. And I always think when I look at the Usos, I'm like, man, remember when they couldn't even get on the WrestleMania card?
Yeah, man, they're crazy.
Crazy.
I remember one of the things Dwayne used to say between the years of 2011 when the Wrealm started and 2013, the Usos gotta figure out how to make money. They got to figure out how to make money. You know, so they had the mask. It was like, okay, they had a couple shirts, but boy, when they like went to the Uso penitentiary, they went to a whole new level. So
right.
I'm
was the heel
looking at
turn.
that. Yeah. And so, like I said, I've been looking at that. You got this, and then I haven't been paying much attention to Pretty Deadly in NXT, right? But it's interesting. I was like, okay, they got something there. But you got the Street Profits who are getting dark, no pun intended. But you're starting to see this different attitude out of them, right? The Viking Raiders, they figured, and these was Dwayne's guys. From we talk about the heydays of ROH. The Viking Raiders was these guys.
Hands in a row.
Yeah. So I see all that, right? Tag team unification match coming along to the point. It's a big deal because, and this is where you have the main eventers kind of like dictating. And what I mean is you got Roman Reigns telling the Usos, go get those titles. Then you got Randy Orton, another main eventer, said, oh yeah, the dog is sending his, to do the work, right? That's storytelling. And now you got reports saying that WWE is interested in FTR.
I'm glad you brought this up.
They're not coming back to be doing what they was doing when they was leaving. They ain't coming back. They went out there. They was already over as a tag team, no doubt about it, right? But now, even if they come back, you're gonna see like, wait a minute, okay, these guys more seasoned vets. I mean, theirs they got even better. And I wouldn't see an issue with them being kind of like next in line for those unified titles. I don't know when their contract expires, but considering whenever it does, I can see them being in a major position if they come to WWE. It's not going to be just come to a bunch of comedy stuff. You'll have to still entertain. Don't get it wrong, but with the way the tag team division is going in WWE, it's incredible. And I didn't even get to the women yet because I'll get there. But I think it's incredible.
Let's go back to something you said. Does anybody find it odd and strange that this report is coming out not too long after there were reports of FTR making comments in regards to, oh yeah, we would definitely go back to WWE under the right conditions? Does anybody else find it odd that this also comes off the heels of FTR making comments about a lot of things that they were doing originally when they first started, similar to what Cody was saying, began to change? FTR tried to do exactly what AEW tried to do. They tried to convince the world that tag team wrestling, they love classic tag team wrestling, and they tried to convince the world that was just as popular as it could have been back in the day, when they clearly, I respect them betting on themselves and learning from their history, but they have not learned from the history makers. So that's the difference. The history makers, Eric Bischoff broke down on his podcast. We keep
snap! T5 the Great is in the building.
All right, look at that old school guy. Eric Bischoff made it very clear on his podcast, and he said, "You know why tag team wrestling was never popular, at least especially not now. We're talking about when professional wrestling was making money in its heyday. We're talking Monday Night Wars era." He said, here's the problem with tag team wrestling. And this is why it doesn't make sense from a business perspective and why it'll never be popular on a mainstream level. And he was absolutely right about this, because when you look at Rock and Roll Express, you look at what you consider your favorite tag teams, all the old school stuff, the pioneers of tag team wrestling, they were still regional promotions. And the way you made money back then was different as things changed in regards to how you make money as things will go forward, which leads us into today. Eric Bischoff said that, you know why tag team wrestling is not popular? Because it's twice as expensive and you don't get a return on your investment. You have to fly out 2 superstars. You have to have 2 of everything. And you better hope 2 of those guys draw more money between the 2 of them rather than a tag team bringing in the money of one. Because
baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
So you're putting out.
I was like, crap.
No, you're putting out money. You're putting out money for 2 guys, and you only bring in a return of investment on one of them. It's too expensive. So he said it's easier to bring in either a tag team with guys that are two singles guys. Like in this situation, as you know, we always have an odd couple tag team, Rocking Slot Connection. In this situation, we have RK Bro. We have two established names that draw money as a tag team, rather than one tag team that draws the money of one superstar, but you've put in the money of two, right? So you have AEW out here saying, "No, we're going to make it the famous because it was," and it's like this generation knows nothing about traditional tag team wrestling. And they're very long and they're stagnant and they're boring matches according to the attention spans of who watches wrestling now. So I appreciate that you're showing respect and you grew up that way. And I think there's a place for that by all means. But at the end of the day, this company has a responsibility to put butts in a seat. They have a responsibility to make money. And financially, they told you, oh, yeah, we believe you guys are the guys to do this. But the reality is it didn't work. Nobody cares about tag team wrestling in the way that they care about it. You have to adapt what you did before to today's audience, which is one thing that WWE does the best because they at times they overdo it, right? So you have every tag team that you're seeing right now has characters and personalities. I'm talking like we're not talking about the Rougeaus because the Rougeaus were a group. They were French Canadian guys. And that's who they were as one. They were one gimmick between two people, right? The Usos, Jey Uso made a name for himself. He has a different personality than Jimmy, right? They're monstrous together.
I'll say that, yeah.
RK Bro, Randy Orton speaks for himself. No need to mention him. Riddle, young guy, speaks for himself, right? You have
Street Profits.
The Street Profits. These guys are doing pizza commercials. They're doing Snickers commercials. They're already crossover stars. So guess what? They don't got to be the biggest stars on the boat because these guys they've already been programmed to be crossover dudes from the beginning. So mainstream people recognize them because that's the silly guys with the red cups. That's the guys for the pizza commercials. That's the guy that sold me my t-shirt in between the commercial breaks on a pay-per-view they weren't even on. Come on, man. It's calculated. Like talk to me, right? You got Otis. He's the big bulldozer. What kid doesn't like the big bulldog? That's why he keeps going in and out of tag teams because they can get rid of anybody else. You have guys like Gable and Otis. Gable has a personality.
Yeah,
right?
Mini Kurt Angle.
Like
speaking of which, you know they got a table 3.
With who?
Oh yeah, Otis.
Who has a table 3?
Kurt Angle, Otis, and Gable.
Are you serious? Oh my god!
But you know what though? Guess what?
I saw somebody sent it to me. Unless it was a joke, but I could have sworn it.
I've not seen the table for 3 since it's been on Stupid Peacock.
Right. I'm gonna be mad if I just said.
I think you said.
Yeah, Fightful. Fightful is reported. WWE announces it. Yeah,
there it is. Well, see, there you go. See that right there? That's the credible source.
Yeah.
But guess what though? There are 3 successful amateur wrestlers that they were all champions in their own right. Whether it be collegiate, whether it be amateur, like that's what they did best. And they were also teasing, you know, Kurt Angle coming in to manage those guys until they finally found out that Chad Gable had the personality of his own, right? They weren't a group together because they were one tag team. Each individual had those are the things that nobody wants to take time to do as far as your TV program. That's how you show that tag team wrestling matters. Invest in the guys that you're putting in these tag teams so that when you bring them together, you get a return on your investment. But that's not something you can do overnight. You're not just going to come on AEW and say we're the best tag team in the world, and then you're not facing. You have a great feud with the Young Bucks. I don't remember nothing else they did outside of that. Who else did they face that was worth saying, yo, FTR tore the house down with so and so and so and so? They made no lasting impressions.
Right. I'm pretty sure they probably did with Pentagon.
You see how you see Pentagon.
I'm pretty sure.
Pentagon and Ray Phoenix. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring those guys up.
Because those guys, they tear it up. They tear it up every time.
Absolutely. They're one of the few teams that can go out there. They gave you a memorable match between them and the Young Bucks when they won the AEW Tag Team Championship.
Now here's the cage match, right?
It wasn't a cage match. Now here's the irony of it all, right? Here's the irony of it all, and this is what I'm saying. You know, I got to go all the way around the block so you see my train of thought. FTR.
But we can't see you though.
No, it's okay. It's in due time. FTR said they wanted to make traditional tag team wrestling. It was such a problem in the beginning They took the tag team ropes off the ring because the young guys wouldn't respect tag team wrestling the way it's supposed to. Anybody who watches wrestling, you're supposed. Oh, see, so look, Nero TNC just dropped some bombs in here. I'm gonna get to what he just said in a second. Anybody knows watch tag wrestling? You hold the tag ropes because that's how you can legally. That's how you can lead. There it is. His comment is up there. Look at that. Overcome Spot Fest, Bucks, Pentaray. That was an old-fashioned New Japan tag match between the Young Bucks and Penta. That's how they would do their, because it's a showcase. That's how they book their shows, right?
Right.
Yeah.
FTR will make such a fuss because the young tag teams will not hold on to the tag ropes because that's how you can legally make a tag. Do you see them tag ropes in WWE? Yes. You see those guys grab those tag ropes? Yes, they do. Because guess what it does? It also adds drama to the production. Because when you got to sit there and you got to hold on to that tag rope, right? And then you got to reach into the ring hoping that your partner can get to you in time. Every little detail matters. Guess what they did? They took the tag ropes off the rings because it was an issue. So now FTR
teaching them.
So no, see, this is the thing though. There's nobody to teach those guys in AEW because they said all the young guys they buck back. There's no OGs in their locker room that keeps those young talent in check, right? Like it in any other locker room, WCW, TNA, WWE, you know, in old school, there was always the locker room leaders. There was the guys that, hey, listen, if you disrespect the tradition, they put you in check. And those young guys knew not to buck back at anybody. Jim Ross has had his fair share. Said, I'm done talking to young guys. Billy Gunn said the same thing. They don't listen. I remember even at one point, MJF says, man, like all these guys want to do is get their spots in instead of saying,
and that's what Nero said.
Nero just dropped the bomb. That's what he just said.
And he dropped another one. He told it as a trainer. He told you don't need to always get all your
exactly. That's what he is. And I've heard that from multiple people in his situation. They have said those things before, right? So guess what? WWE figures out how to make tag team wrestling relevant, and now FTR doesn't seem to be opposed to going back. I wonder why. Because they've realized after Cody Rhodes, they're like, wait a minute. So Vince is going to let people be themselves now? So you mean to tell me if you shown him personally that you can make money doing being you, he's like, look, I don't care what you do. If you can make money, then by all means, like you said, that's what we're paying for.
Yep.
See, they thought it was all about control. He's the maniacal, you know, the dictator. But Cody Rhodes proved like, no, I just proved that I was valuable now, and now they respect me. Come on, man. Like Nero just said, money talks.
Yep, that's what I said. That's been booked.
That's the truth.
In WWE.
Cody had to show that his brand was valuable. And guess what? Vince said, that's what we're licensing. We'll pay for it. And I say licensing because Cody, he owns all that stuff. He owns the ring music. He owns the gear. He owns all that. So guess what? Don't be surprised if CM Punk goes, oh, I got unfinished business in WWE. I want that WrestleMania pop one more time.
And it's a difference too if they're willing to do that because that's a company that's really trying to control their IP. You know, control as much intellectual property. That's how you maximize your profits. I mean, talk business.
Because that's what it is, though. At the end of the day, what is it? It's not the wrestling friendship. It's not the wrestling family. It's the wrestling business, right? So let's look at a few of these tag teams, and this is let's move the conversation forward. Do you guys think that FTR at this point would be valuable in WWE long term? And here's what I say why. Like, you have a team like the Viking Raiders. I'm disappointed in where they like. First of all, they changed their names. I don't know. I think Eric, which used to be, I don't remember his name. I don't know which one is Hanson, which one is Rowe. I don't remember. No, it's Rowe, Raymond Rowe, because he's married to Sarah Rowe. So he just lost to, who did he lose to? He just lost to, he jobbed out to somebody on something. It was matter of fact, it was Mace. I saw the picture when they were reintroducing Mace in LA Knight. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why is he jobbing out to him out of all people? Because to me, they oversaturated the tag team division with these characters, and you get locked into this whole Viking thing, right?
Yep.
I get Mace. Thank you. And I'm like, dude, what's the deal with Viking Raiders always in squash matches now and Omos and stuff like that? And it's like, man, these dudes they don't even have to drop the gimmick. They gotta punch somebody in the face. And I know, like I said, the good thing about those guys is I heard they've been pitching. You know, like I said, rumor says they try to be like the new APA type thing. Like, let's kind of drop these gimmicks and just let us be kind of smash mouth, because that's what they were kind of known for. You know, Hanson, which is known as Ivar in WWE, he was as big as he was. He's a guy that lost a lot of weight. You know, so the what we see in Ivar now is not who he used to be before he got himself together. There was a time he was way bigger than that, but he started to get his life and his health together. And he is very versatile in what he can do. He's very agile. You know, he's one of those guys that can do cartwheels and fly off the top rope and things like that. And it's like, man, there's a trend going on right now. Like, let these guys kind of be themselves a little bit. We don't have a smash mouth tag team as of right now. And I know it's popular as RK Bro is. I don't know how long they can last. And it's like, okay, so if you decide to bring in a team like FTR to say, we kind of revitalize us and we want more guys we're allowing guys to show their personality. We're not trying to change their gimmicks. You know, where do they fit in the current product? Can those guys readjust to the WWE way? Because Chad Gable is in a tag team with Otis, but Chad Gable also just showed up in a segment as the lie detector guy, the stenographer, with Kevin Owens, you know, in his feud. Like, that's versatility. That's entertainment, because and it's still in line with who he is. He's kind of the guy that says he's smarter than everybody else.
Hello?
Yeah.
We got you.
You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, Gable is a guy that's kind of smart. You know, he's kind of got his look and he's got his feel. He was able to do something else outside of tag team wrestling. Like, we know you're in a tag team, but let's show your versatility. Do you guys see FTR fitting in to WWE in this kind of hybrid version of what we're looking at now, where they're kind of backing off the gimmicks a little bit, but they're making sure that all their main event players or everyone involved have these big personalities? Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Gable, Cody Rhodes, Edge, you know, even Bobby Lashley turning face. Like, these guys have bigger personalities. Do they fit into the scheme of things where other guys don't?
I was about to say,
See,
yeah,
look,
right
I
off
just dropped
top.
I dropped the tough one. See?
I don't think they have that big personality, right?
Nah.
I'm still trying to learn the difference between them. You know, like
That's
Usos.
a problem.
Yeah, the Usos for years. You Total Divas help us identify which Uso was which, right? I know you used to always say Fat Uso, but then they both lost like weight and they got cut. But man, when Jimmy got hurt and Roman and Jay, and then you started seeing how Jay was wearing his hair different. Even now, they look like twins, obviously. But it's like, you know how when you know a set of twins personally that look just alike, but you don't see them looking alike because you know which one. That's the Usos now, you know?
Right.
So while they've always had a tag team personality, now they got individual personalities where they can each make money, right? You can get a main event Jey Uso shirt, a right-hand man shirt, you know? You can get a Jimmy Uso shirt. I ain't nobody, as you know. So that's the thing. How can, and even Nero says he would say no, but WWE will want them on their books at this point, and FTR should make the money. But
wrestling business.
Yeah, it's business, you know. So I don't know. I don't think they would. I think they could. It would develop. I think they would get that finish in school, and we would see that happen where we would know the differences. You know, everybody would know the differences where each individual could. Because even like you look at the Steiner brothers, right? You look at the Hart Foundation. You knew the difference because everybody had their own thing. The outsiders, that's not even fair, you know.
Yeah,
Booker T and Stevie Ray, you know. Eventually, you had to figure, you know. Eventually, they had to do their own personality instead of being just a tag team. That's okay, two people, you know.
Let's take it a step further.
That's definitely a tough one because they're more on a traditional type of tag team.
Exactly,
bruising tag team, and it's like like Brian said, the individual like charisma, like I don't see it. Neither one of them really have it right now, and maybe there's some room for them to go ahead and grow and do it. But honestly, just going off of what I've seen in the past, I don't see either one of them jumping out and kind of like grabbing their chance. You know what I'm saying? Like bringing themselves out. You know, like it's just a regular tag team to me. They're great. Don't get me wrong. But as far as like sticking in there and fitting in with the WWE like mindset right now, nah, it does. It won't last too long.
They mimic the era of one tag team, one personality. the bees, the captains, the rabbits. You know, like that was their thing, right?
Yeah.
I think they can pull it off, to be honest with you, because we saw a taste of it, but it didn't stick, right?
Mhm.
Around the time when they around the first time they signed the contract extensions, and they you know, they throw the strap on them, and they were Raw Tag Team Champions, and they were running around with at one point they were running around with Randy Orton, you know what I mean? They were FTRKO, and it was very short lived. But they were kind of like the Playboys. They were kind of rich. They were kind of like, hey man, we're the rich guys. They were trying to do this top guys gimmick. Like, hey, because we want to tag titles, we get the private locker room, we get the champagne, and it was tough to pull off because we kind of saw that already with like an Evolution. So it's difficult to kind of come with a concept like that. So let's do the WWE favor. Let's give them some free money. Let's book FTR's return to the WWE. But they both individually need personalities. Which one's going to be which? They need characters. They need something, right? That's for example. I'll give you an example. The Usos came back. Jey Uso was he was the little cousin. He was one that was getting out. He was always the
Which one
that
are
fell
you?
in line. You know what I mean? He was the youngest. They told that story. Oh yeah, Jimmy, like, yeah, man. You know, it was always Big Goose was Roman, and then naturally I'm 7 minutes older than him. So in our family, culturally, I'm the older brother. So he was always little one. He never had a voice. He's just finding his voice. That was his gimmick. And then he had to, he bucked against the system, and then he eventually fell in line. Right? That told that story. And guess what he became? He became the right-hand man. So he had a beginning, he had a middle, and he had an end. Right? And now he is who he is. Right? You have Jimmy came back, said, bro, we don't gotta suffice this. We not kids no more. He did the same thing. He bucked against the system, he got in line. Now he's like, you know what? I ain't this, I ain't that, but this is what's best for our family. So we the ones, right? What does FTR? What will be their thing? Let's go back to their origins. In NXT, they were kind of the old school, like they were the
Tully and
Smash Mouth
Arn.
guys. They were very Smash Mouth. They were very Tully, they were very Brain Busters ish. What superstar of the past will be Cash Wheeler, and what superstar of the past could be Dax Harwood? Come on now. This is why they pay us the big bucks. We got to give these guys personalities. We got to give these guys personalities. We got to bring out what these guys already do best. Now I'm gonna tell you, they look like some bad man pajamas when they first showed up in AEW. When they pulled up in they little leather jackets with the truck, old school truck, and they got out there. I said, oh yeah, that's tough. And it's just like, you know, the moment, Daily's place, perfect time, perfect place. But it's like that same. Then as time went on, it didn't kind of travel, and then they became a Pinnacle, and it's like they just became a regular tag team again. Then they want to be old school guys again. They want to be managed by Tully, and then that didn't work out. It's like now they want to be managed by Bret Hart, and it's like, dude, fellas, we got to do something outside of tag team wrestling. Who would they be? Hold on. Nero said Cash Wheeler has close ties with Edge, wrestling wise, probably better and more respected. Dax has more charisma. In my opinion, his early NXT stuff when he was kind of Trucker Scott, that's what he was. He was the trucker guy because he wore trucker hats and he wore the cut off denim sleeves. Was great. I think he has more legs in the character world. I think that's I agree with that 100%. I couldn't figure out what that gimmick was, but I remember that's when they first came out. He was coming out with the cut off denim sleeves and the trucker hat, and you know, the big handlebar mustache. And I was like, they look like old school guys. But like I said, we don't have to figure it out right now. But I think that's what we're trying to do now. This moment is what WWE.
That's who you put him with, though.
With who?
Edge. But even though Edge is like dark now, so it might not be the same. But you know, you think back to when Edge dropped that little nugget when him and Seth Rollins had their deal.
Yeah,
and he called their real names. He said, "Call them up, you know, get them to the house, you know, because he'll get them over."
I think they can pull off being country boy tough guys.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Kind of that bar fighting, you know, dancing all night.
Dudes with Brock Lesnar.
I mean, like I think he's very APA-ish. You know what I mean?
I was about to say APA mixed with Trevor and Murdoch.
I think. I mean, yeah, yeah, like definitely. You know, that's what I get. But like, so what are some of the other tag teams? Now we've talked about the women. Right. WWE has always, people have talked about how like, well, WWE doesn't care about tag team wrestling, but obviously it's done something. because I don't believe that they would have just given the women tag team titles just to suffice to them. You know what I mean? Just to keep them quiet. Like, I don't believe that at all. Right. And we talk about RK Bro, where you take a main event guy, you take an up and comer. Right. The women's tag team champions at the moment are Sasha Banks and Naomi. Right. Naomi kind of, it didn't have much to do in the last couple of years, and then kind of had a very small entertaining feud with Sonya Deville. Which played more into the Sonya Deville character more than it did for Naomi, but it showed her at a light that she could at least try to kind of get out there a little bit. But she's in a situation with
it gave her an important win though. I'll say that. Like, for her to win that feud, even though you said it was more for Sonya, it gave Naomi an important win because it's still an authority figure. So she overcame adversity.
I mean, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things was it kept her relevant, because she could have been doing nothing.
To say,
it's not like she was having matches every week. It was just a situation where she was trying to get a match. She's like, look, I'm being underutilized. I'm trying to get involved, and you're holding me down. And I think they did it in a way that it didn't have to lead to a huge payoff, which was smart,
And also showed a personality where she could get upset and angry without being a heel. Because clearly that didn't work before. So, you put somebody who's a nice person and she just tried to come and do her job. So you saw her get upset, like, yo, come on. All right, we just need to fight it out. And I think here now, like you said, putting her with Sasha's like the Randy Orton in this situation, right?
Big time.
She's
Big time.
main eventer. Easily wherever you put her, she's a big deal. It's the reason why she's early in the Royal Rumbles, and everything. So then now you put her with Naomi. Just those two alone got everybody excited, right? And going into WrestleMania, you're like, can this be the one? Can Sasha finally get her first WrestleMania victory? And she does. And then you could even see, like, over the course, you saw the chemistry develop. Like, if you watch, like, that match Monday night was flawless, right? Because the story was Sasha and Naomi are in sync, where Liv and Rhea, they both talented, but they was not on the same page. So even where you saw, like, you look at it and break it down, it looked like it was a botch, right? It looked like Rhea went for the slam too soon and Liv didn't do the bulldog. But that was all done by design, because Rhea was going to turn on Liv anyway. You put those two together to have them chase the goal. But then again, like we talked about, creating individuals, right? Because Liv is somebody that people love generally. So now you have Rhea, who's somebody who you can easily make a heel because she's a legit badass, right? So then here comes Rhea making people love Liv Morgan even more. Just on a simple fact, shout out to those wrestling girls just tuned in. Just for the simple fact,
hey, it's a party now.
I know, right?
Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party.
So you have
yes, sir.
I told you guys we got to set up that super show. The wrestling room and those wrestling girls.
Bro, we lit tonight, man. Everybody's in the building.
We
welcome everybody.
What happens when we make the link public?
Right. See.
So you have Liv now. People sympathizing for her even more, just on the fact that Rhea beat her up. We all saw it coming, but once it happens, like, all right, this is perfect. Meanwhile, Sasha and Naomi are thriving. Which the same thing, when Sasha and Bayley were tag team champions, they were thriving because they were both top women. Both of them at one point had all the belts. They was the 2-woman power trip. Like I was just mentioning while I was watching Backlash 2001, they dare say did it better than Austin and Triple H just because there's a difference. But they carried the pandemic. So like you said earlier, Dwayne, it wasn't a waste in making the tag team titles. It wasn't just like, all right, we're going to give the women the tag team titles just to shut them up. No, it was a purpose. The same thing, and they've been developing. Even a lot of times we see the makeshift tag teams with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, right? It was the same thing. We got
or Shayna Baszler and Natalya, the Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Spades.
That's a deck of cards, right? Yeah.
That's another one.
Hugh deadly
Like-
women, by the way.
You ain't mess with them. Natalia's
I'm
from
not
the
getting the ring.
dungeon.
I'm not getting the
She's
ring.
from
Neither
the
one of them.
dungeon.
I'm telling you that right now. I don't care how tall I am. That's dead.
and Nero says Shayna is so underutilized.
Yes, she
But-
is.
But
She's also
I
older.
get-
She's 40 years old.
I
That's
get
true.
that, but like right now, I mean, you got the belts on heavy hitters. You got it on Charlotte Flair and you got it on Bianca Belair. Like, I'm not taking they draw more money than Shayna Baszler. With t-shirts and what is it? Merchandise. They it's just what it is. They draw more money than her.
I really hope Shayna Baszler and Natalya are up next to contend for the women's tag titles because
I think so.
because they just bring a different element as heels. They're so dangerous in the ring, right? Like they don't have to. Sometimes in this business, it's not about who wins it or who holds the strap. Sometimes it's just about who elevates the title and who elevates the situation that you're in, right?
Natalya and Tamina when they were tag team champions.
They were vicious. Like they were intense. Same thing. You know what I mean? And I think that
yeah, Natalya is doing NXT
Yep.
stuff too.
I mean, so she's going to become relevant again because NXT is making a lot of underutilized talent or the the workhorses and the ring generals like relevant again. Like
And she's a vet. She's had like she's wrestling. She's in a program with Cora Jade, and Cora Jade was a fan of Natalya. Like, and the whole story is like, I loved you, I respected you, I wanted to be like you, but now I got to beat you. Like, come on now. Like, this is the reason why I like seeing people go down to NXT. Shout out to Hugh Diddy's boy, Dolph Ziggler. This is why I love seeing them go to NXT and wrestle and come back. Just go down there for a quick program and come on back home. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
All right.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that's why I love seeing that.
No, I mean, I think that's like when you have these veterans working with these young gals, it helps elevate, first of all, what we're expected to see, right? Because the difference between NXT 2.0 and NXT was that for the longest time NXT was kind of created to stand on its own, versus in NXT 2.0 is, as we're watching it, it's constantly being integrated, but we're seeing the same thing with the women as well, which is good because it's going to help them transition to the main roster in different settings outside of just contending for a world title. Like they can.
Their champion is somebody who was on the main roster in a few programs, Mandy Rose.
Absolutely.
And people may look at. I'm not going to discredit her and say, "Oh, but she ain't," just because she was a model into a wrestler. I mean, I think the greatest women's wrestler of all time is Trish Stratus, and she was a wrestling fan who was a model who became we saw the progression, and that's what I see with Mandy Rose. But also, like you said, just that integration, because Mandy Rose draws money.
Yeah, and that's what she went down there to go do. Like she went down there to become her own person, to not become eye candy. She's leading her own faction, and now she's developing the correct way because she's going to have a seamless transition back because fans already know who she is. But she needed some seasoning, which is okay, and sometimes it's necessary.
And I'm telling you, they and Wichita made her debut last night. Roxanne, formerly known as Roxy, got an interview with her right here on Wrestling for the Culture in the archives. Make sure you check it out. Done in 2020 during the pandemic. But I'm telling you, future women's champion. She is a prodigy. I'm calling it. I've been saying that since I first met her.
Yes.
And me and Hugh saw her at ROH when she defended the ROH women's title against Willow Nightingale. And and obviously I talked to Amber and we was talking about it. She was like, yo, that girl, she said she's good. Like, I mean, Booker T put her over. She trained at Booker T school. And
okay. So was she ever on ROW? On a
plenty of times. Yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch.
She was, I think she might have been the Diamond Divisions champion. But yeah, she was Roxy, but she was, I mean, her nickname was the Prodigy, and you could see it. Like, and then you saw the wrestling skills was there, but then you started to see the personality develop. The difference is now she's like WWE got her early. She only I don't even think she's 21 yet.
I was about to say,
she's not 21.
See, this is
Yeah,
exactly
because
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
that's what they're looking for. When we interviewed her, it was she might have. I think she was just graduated from high school, and she was also like she had got like honored by the city of Laredo, Texas, because she had won one of the belts down there.
See, I didn't realize she was
So-
that young.
Yeah, but she and then they changed her name to Roxanne, not too far, and they showed like they had like a little vignette yesterday on NXT where she was like playing the video games, and they made put some actors like they do on Dark Side of the Ring and had her grow up, and now she's there, and then they had her like face she faced one of the girls from Mandy Rose faction from
Toxic Attraction, yeah.
Toxic Attraction, and she beat her. And I was like, oh yeah, they got plans for her.
Oh yeah, she said she was distracted, wasn't she? I saw the clip.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm like, okay, she came in, she got to win. Like this is a big deal. Yeah, JC Jane, thank you. And I'm excited because just having talked to her, seeing like how like humble she is about this business, how much she love it, and then getting a chance to see her at ROH, which she got booed in Baltimore because I'm telling you, the crowd wanted Willow that night. Like, it
Baltimore's
was like
rough.
weird. Huh?
Baltimore's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, and I was like,
as the wrestling audience is concerned.
Wow. Like me and you looked at each other. I'm like, no, I mean, it was like one of those win-win situations for us, but it was like, I ain't had to do Roxy like that. I know everybody, but everybody wanted Willow Nightingale. I mean, I don't know why AEW playing, but then again, that's what they do. That's what they do. Shout out to the women real quick. It was a Battle Club tonight. The main event was Trisha Dora and Big Swole.
Oh, the rematch? The rematch?
Yeah, the rematch. If you follow on Those Wrestling Girls, both Queen PR and Krista B was there, so you can catch them. You can catch them on there. Shout out to Mr. Black from Jobber Tears podcast making his referee debut, but an all-women show, which Will Nightingale was a part of too. Her and Janiyah Kai. Janiyah Kai is like I don't want to say a street fighter, but she's like that legit martial artist in the ring. So that's the quick love to the indie feds.
Did you just call her a street fighter? Never mind. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. So let me ask you this real quick. Let's get back on. Let's go back to
get back to let's get back to business.
No, we're good. I'm not even gonna because I can see where like the jokes are gonna go, and I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna do that because I'm always the one starting the jokes, and then we get distracted. So I'm stopping myself this time.
No, go ahead. You started.
No.
Yeah, you committed now.
So you have tag team unification coming up, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's put it this way: they're not saying it's a tag team unification. They're saying it's a winner take all, right? That's not really because they kind of alluded to the same thing with Brock and Roman. They it wasn't really a unification, but it was just it was kind of a like they kind of they've kind of stood the ground of we're not unifying the titles, but it's gonna be a winner take all situation, right?
Yeah.
So you got the Usos, you got RK Bro. Who's the best tag team in the business right now? Hold on, there's a couple of champions, right? Let's just look at the landscape for a moment. You got, I'm including ladies. You have Sasha Naomi, you have RK Bro, you have the Usos, you have Jurassic Express, you have Pretty Deadly NXT young guys, right? You have Otis and Gable, you have the Young Bucks. You have the Gun Club, you have the Good Brothers, you have Red Dragon, you have the Acclaimed, and you have the Viking Raiders, you have FTR, and you have in this particular situation now Swerve and Keith Lee,
right?
Which once again AEW has so many people in debuts that you talking about two guys that got lost in the shuffle really really fast. Who's the best? It's not funny. Why are you laughing? That's terrible.
It's like a parent. It's not funny what you laughing at
because he just laughed at him. He just laughed at him. That's terrible. Because I said that for a reason because you're talking about two guys that were praised for who they were. right? By Tony
Yeah.
Khan. They said these guys, it makes no sense how they're not part of somebody's wrestling company. Like they only were part of one of the wrestling company. We know you talk about the E, right? And then you get them, and all of a sudden they're losing on AEW Dark or wherever they were at, right? It's like, wait a minute, what just happened? These are guys that you praised, right? But you're talking about two guys that are bland, right? And now two guys that have huge debuts and interviews and big deals, they lost in the shuffle of tag team wrestling in the company that's supposed to be celebrating tag team wrestling. So tell me, who is the best tag team in the world right now?
Oh, that's tough.
I know who I want to say, but you tell me.
I'm going to say this because this is my favorite tag team of all time.
Are they the best tag team right now?
I think they're the best tag team right now. I think they was the best tag team last year, and I think they're gonna be the best tag team next year, and that is the Usos.
Hey,
Brother Hugh?
I'm right there with you. But if you're talking about overall, as far as marketing and
right now, who's the face of all tag team? Right, it's tough. I named all the schemes for a reason.
I gotta say Randy and Riddle.
Wow.
I gotta say Randy and Riddle, man.
Tell me why you chose them over a traditional tactic. Because that's listen, let's not get it twisted. What Randy and Riddle are, they represent a type of tag team that's always been in professional wrestling. It's the odd couple, right? And some of the biggest odd couple tag teams have made some of the greatest tag teams of all time, which is what, to be honest with you, would probably killed what traditional tag team wrestling would have been, right? So tell me why you chose Randy Orton and Riddle as the best tag team in professional wrestling right now.
Well, first of all, like I said, I'm a business guy, so just going off of just like the marketing aspect of it, they're perfect together. Number one, the merchandise sales, of course, they're coming from both ends. It's two different types of audiences that's coming together as one. The pop, the reaction, their chemistry, everything is on point with them. Even to Randy Orton letting Riddle use his moves. Like Randy Orton already has the top move, like the greatest move of all time, basically. The RKO. He has memes. He has like all types of craziness going on with the RKO movement. So I mean, like, everything is just there. Everything is there. They're good in the ring, both athletic, both smart. Like, what else is there? What's missing?
So they check all the boxes.
They check all of them. They check all of them for me. Plus, they're going to be, well, we haven't seen it too much with Riddle yet, but as far as an individual star, he's going to blow up too. He's going to get his push.
Certainly.
And you already know about Randy Orton's accolades, so we ain't even got to talk about that. But
right, yeah, I don't deny that one bit.
It has to be them.
Right.
Who else can touch him?
Apparently nobody right now. It probably is going to be the Usos at some point.
Right. It's a toss up between those two. I was going to say Sasha and Naomi, but I hate to say it. Naomi's kind of like the weaker link.
Yeah, that's the look at Brian. Like he's trying to defend her because he loves her.
Right.
No. So here's the thing. So because I've been like paying attention to these matches, right? And
I wish you could see my face right now.
and plus, because it's on Raw, I got to watch it twice. Once with myself, once with my daughter. The thing is, you're not wrong as far as those two, but Naomi has come a long way. She slowed down, and like the chemistry, the moveset. I was thinking about this. I got to go back and watch in the archives now because I was like, her and Sasha and Naomi have better moves than Sasha and Bailey.
Come on,
absolutely.
Stop.
As a tag team.
Oh, okay.
Like tag team.
Yeah. Like as a traditional tag team.
Yeah. Because I mean, you know, and sometimes but the thing is because Sasha and Bailey are both so great, right? Like I think Bailey's the best overall women's wrestler in the world.
I concur.
Right. But Sasha and Naomi, just like it seemed as if, to piggyback off what Brother Hugh said, it seemed as if Sasha said, "Come on, girl, I'm gonna make you get over."
Yeah, she got an elevator.
than what you did before. I mean, them sliding out the ring at the same time, grabbing Liv, throwing her into the bench. I was like, wow, that was smooth. The tag team finish they just created, that was smooth. And just a couple of double team moves. I was like, wow, like I don't think we've seen women nobody in the women's tag team division have moves like that. It's just been like, okay, tag here, you do this, you do this. But to see the tag team move set, we haven't seen nothing like that since really Beth Phoenix and Natalia.
Right.
Or Tamina and Natalia.
But
so that's what I mean.
You want to put that up against as
No.
the best? That's what I'm saying. The best.
No. I was just saying when Hugh was, I had to rebuttal Hugh's point. I'm still sticking with the Usos, the best tag team in the world. But to like I said, I don't think Naomi is so much as a weak link, as in
I said she was the weakest link of the two.
Right. I don't think she's the. I'm trying to think. I can't think of nobody because I don't want to say the Marty Jannetty because I thought Marty was better in the beginning. Then we all know what happened. The barbershop, it was a wrap, but yeah,
Mr. Michaels.
So that's what I'm.
Yeah. So
real quick, you know who had good matches as I'm looking at now? Eddie Guerrero and Rob Van Dam.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean you're talking about two workhorses, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two ring generals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So no street profit. No, you good. That's what we do. Because I'm watching Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle go out at WrestleMania. This is unreal.
Oh, a low key.
Oh my god.
Top 3 Shawn Michaels match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, easy.
That people don't talk about.
No, it's just WrestleMania 21 was ridiculous. This match.
Then the SummerSlam match.
Yeah, that's the follow up. But I'm not gonna. Like I said, I get distracted talk about HBK. But no Street Profits.
I was about to say no New Day. No New Day.
No New Day. I mean, New Day's kind of a makeshift right now. You know what I mean? Like this. Well, you can't really. They not. I don't know. I can't. It's tough. New Day's been kind of all over the place with the injuries. Like Woods just coming back. E just goes out. So, but the Usos have been firing all cylinders. New Day's definitely in the conversation. I mean, it's not that we forgot to mention them, but just right now, just kind of down, trying to regroup so they can fully get back situated.
Don't get me wrong, the Usos are my boys. 100%. That's my boy. Hey,
it's tag team in their blood.
Yep,
acknowledge me.
I think they have come.
Yo, we was on the phone one day. I just kept saying that joke. And I just watched the full episode the day instead of the whole clip.
That's funny.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Yeah, they're trying to sell us. They're trying to sell us on something. But I mean, I think tag team wrestling is kind of
we did a whole show about tag team wrestling. They say tag team dying.
Well, we did the back end of it. We covered some other stuff. I think tag team wrestling as a whole is kind of up right now, honestly, because they found a way to put it in an entertaining spot. Because before it was okay, get the tag match off. It's the guys that really work. They do all the spots, and then 10 minutes later you're done. You know what I mean? But this is the first time in a long time that we've seen multiple tag teams with big personalities that can be put on the forefront in programs.
Like 99, yo.
Yeah, definitely has that, and I say it between all companies. You know what I mean? Between everyone is active right now. NXT, Impact, WWE, AEW, the Young Bucks, big personalities. They changed their entire look. They kind of changed their gimmick up. You know what I mean? They're being very obnoxious celebrity like heels, wearing expensive shoes on purpose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that. I'm like, man, they're not wearing their traditional look. They changed their entire style up. It's like wearing designer style clothes and the earrings that go from their nose to their ears, and
they're better as heels.
I mean, they've always been better as heels. You know what I mean? Outside of, I mean, nobody wants to see face Young Bucks. Like you're gonna enjoy the match, but you don't get all that personality that they have to offer. But there's a lot of great tag teams out here right now, and I just, like I said, as we kind of bring it back full circle in regards to FTR, man, I think if done right, I don't know if they'll fit into WWE at this point. I mean, I know at some point, RK Bro is probably going to have to, disband, and there's always room for another tag team, but it's like you're going to need established guys at some point. Like RK Bro works because Randy Orton is involved. Randy Orton has single-handedly brought up Riddle. He single-handedly brought up the Street Profits. You know what I mean? He single-handedly brought up Otis and Gable. Like he's been the vet in the midst of all of these things, because without Randy Orton, these would just be just other tag matches.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he brings an instant credibility to what they've done in the ring, and that's what a veteran's supposed to do. He has put their spot, and you can tell he's having such a good time because he's working with. Think about it. This is the first time in a long time he's working with all young talent. Like he's working with all new guys. Like as Randy Orton's not old, but he's old in wrestling years because he's been there forever. You know what I mean? And he has played a big part in why all three of these teams and each individual in each of these teams is really successful. Because if you look at who's leading Raw and SmackDown, they got a really young group. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, these guys are at the helm. Like, years ago, these guys were in NXT and all these other things, but Nero TNC just said, Orton celebrating 20 years. 20 years of Randy Orton. You know what I mean? What more can you ask for?
Right.
But to see him having a legitimate tag team program, Randy Orton is a history maker. Like he didn't just have a regular tag team. Like, him and Flair or him and Batista or whatever the case may be, whoever he's in tag teams before. But like he's having like his run with RK Bro is going to go down in the books. You know what I mean? It's going to be on the same level not same level, but in the same category of that, odd couple group that wasn't meant to be something that lasts more than a month that turned into something that lasted a lot longer than that. So, man, legacy. It's tough to say.
That's why. Oh, that's what I was thinking too. Cody, him and Cody, when that time come, there's a lot of story there. They wrestled at WrestleMania 26 in the triple threat or the handicap match,
right?
And Cody's like, look, man, and like you look at the way Cody's being booked, he's getting all his get backs, right? And he's facing Kevin Owens, who was in that ladder match, his last match I think his last match was at WrestleMania 32. He's getting at Miz. One of your favorite stories, Dwayne, when we first started, when his father would say, look, you out here dashing Miz WWE champion. He's wrestling Seth Rollins. So all of these people have done what he hasn't done yet, and that is win the WWE championship, that piece of leather that he's chasing.
Could you see Cody Rhodes in the tag team again?
Not now.
Not right now.
He'll win the belt, and then maybe afterwards, maybe somebody young or somebody from AEW who jumps ship, but not now. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Odd couple tag team.
Yeah, the whole best friend thing gimmick. Right. Because that's like a shoot, like Kevin Owens said, like he went to WrestleMania 31 as a, I guess he hadn't signed yet, but he went there because he knew, he wanted to see his buddy win, wrestle at WrestleMania when, because that was Seth Rollins' first wrestling singles match at WrestleMania when he wrestled Randy Orton. So yeah, that's a shoot, and I think that's what helps too when you can put two guys who are like really good friends, like Otis and Gable. They live, right near each other. I think Gable bought a house. Otis bought a house because it's near Gable. Yeah,
that's just chemistry. Certain things you can't replicate. Certain things you can't manufacture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I'm here 2 hours.
No, man, I told you we were gonna load the show up tonight. Like we was like, yo, this got to be a banger. So
how y'all feel about the baby rockers? Pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Boys with the halter tops.
Pretty deadly threw me off, right? I was like, dude, why they dress like that? But then I looked at him and said, I think this is kind of what Tyler Breeze was trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no big, it's almost like a varsity gimmick heel. You know what I mean? Or like the preppy group guys. Like there's certain guys you just love to hate.
Yeah.
And when you look at those guys, I'm like, man, they've got that 90s long hair that's flowy. They really got the Bobby Brown sleeves. You know how Bobby Brown used to wear the sleeves in the 80s? It was just the sleeves. Yep. They got these halter tops on. I'm like, oh, you guys are pissing me off. I don't even, and they're new guys. like they were like I know they were very, people were very familiar with them on the independent scene, but this mainstream WWE audience may not have been, privy to them, and they came in right away. I was like, who are these guys dressed in all black? Like, they attacked,
Creed Brothers,
yeah, and then eventually won the titles, and then I didn't get who they were. I was like, who the heck is these guys with long hair? Until they came out just like that. I said, oh no, we got pretty guys, and I'm like, man, they're so easy to hate, and I was like, they might be onto something.
They
might be onto something. So Nero TNC says he's from the UK, so they said that's where they got their start at NXT UK. So we got to go back and do some research about
these.
Yeah,
we definitely do.
Because I was like, oh no, like I immediately stopped what I was doing and hated them just how they looked. I said, you guys purposely dressed that way for me to not like you. Now
Hey, I ain't like Cody for the longest time because he ain't wearing knee pads.
No knee pads.
But see, that's because he didn't look crazy though. Like, what if Cody Rhodes came out in a halter top and he was your champion? Like that's the guy who beats up everybody. And like I said, I think that's what Tyler Breeze was trying to accomplish. And I'm like, these guys might have figured it out. So I'm looking forward to see what they bring to the table. Young tags. Any other young tag teams? That at least that's on the radar that has your attention. I know the acclaimed in AEW, Max Caster and the other guy.
I'm good off of them.
Yeah, I'm trying, but it's just like, I like their look, but I don't like the, I'm trying to see where the future of tag team wrestling is going. Like you could always see like somebody has something. You know what I mean? Like when we saw the Usos, we knew they had something. We just trying to figure out what it was going to be. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think
time, brother.
And that's what it's going to take at the end of the day. I think, Nero TNC just brought up Mustache Mountain. You guys remember Tyler Bate?
Yeah.
He was the first NXT champion, and then Pete Dunne came into the world. Pete Dunne grew a beard in his hair.
Who's that?
Pete Dunne. Not calling him. I'm not calling him Butch. My man went from breaking fingers to being tied up to forklifts. I'm not complaining. I'm letting it ride out.
I'm letting it ride out. They call him the Rabbit Wolverine.
Yo.
Wow.
Yo, I didn't hear it, but I heard Pat McAfee said that.
That's wild.
I saw
right?
Twitter. It was like, yo, did he really just say what I think he just said?
Did.
Listen, it's not too far from a, you know what I mean?
Wait. Yes, sir.
Like, yeah, like it's like, and what happened to the other guy from Imperium? Like, they changed.
Oh yeah.
They changed him to Ludwig Kaiser. He got a new name. He debuted.
Somebody said the bootleg Beethoven.
Oh wow.
Hey.
Look, they're getting roasted already.
So is the other guy supposed to be getting a push or something?
I don't know what the deal is. I'm trying to figure out where he's at. I'm like, is he injured or what's the deal?
Because I actually thought he was the better portion of the tag team.
You really?
Yeah. I could be tripping.
No, I mean, listen, I thought Imperium was very boring. I was like, they're not gonna last. They were smaller guys, but I'm seeing now that the presentation that they're kind of displaying them in, I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. Mm-hmm. But they're going to be difficult to get away from Gunther. Are we ready to call him Gunther? Because he said this is his thing. You know me, he'll always be Walter to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got an action figure on the box. It says Walter. Therefore, his name is Walter. But
his name is Walter.
His name is Walter.
There it is.
But
new t-shirt.
He's not bothered by it. He said, "Look, man, this is no big deal." Because he said, if my name was Walter, and if my name was Gunther, and they changed it to Walter, everybody's like, "Oh, it's that stupid." And he's right. He's absolutely right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not like they didn't give a background behind it. They try to give a story behind him and stuff like that. And he's already in the main roster. It does have a intense name, a different feel to it. I'm getting used to it. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm okay with it and not as tripping about it is because he's not tripping about it. Like, he seems to be fine with it. So are we ready to call him Gunther?
Yeah.
Hey, his name.
You might as well give in now, bro.
Gunther.
He's here. He's reached the main roster. That man is gonna be vicious. And give him a little bit of time. He's gonna be vicious.
I think he lost too much weight.
For real?
I'm glad he looks good. Looks amazing. Like I think he should build on that. Like get like Matt
He gonna
Morgan
get
type
cut.
size. Yeah,
Hey,
like if he puts on some like Matt Morgan was an imposing force in TNA. He just wasn't that great in ring stuff, but his physique and his look and his presentation was like
okay.
he had a very menacing look to him. You know what I mean? But it's just I don't think he delivered in the ring all that great. But I think Gunther, I said, man, if he kind of puts it on a little bit more, I think he's fine the way he is. I'm just nitpicking because I when he was a bigger guy, man, he was just intense. Like he's intense now, but it's intimidating to have somebody that big, that heavy-handed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Able to do all that. So it's just like, oof, that's a lot going on. But man, he looks like $1 million, man. He's ready.
Man. He's moving better. Like, man, he's crazy.
Yeah, he's like I said, like in just Nero TNC just said, he's not as intimidating. You know what I mean? With that look, because when I first saw it, I was like, who is this guy? And then you saw his moveset, it was like, whoa, wow, hold on. You know what I mean? But I guess we can call him Gunther.
It's about time.
Yeah. I hate when they're right. They're like, oh, the wrestling fans will get over it. Like, don't do that. You don't have to do that. He still could have been Walter, but I guess that's fine. So
come down to the IP, brother.
Is he now? Is him and Ludwig Kaiser technically a tag team, or are we gonna wait for the other guy and maybe a faction?
I think isn't he kind of like a manager or whatever? Kind of like what what's his face was the Rusev? Aiden English was the Rusev.
That's what it's looking like. Like I said, I feel bad because these smaller guys are starting to get less and less opportunities in the ring.
All right.
Need good old JR back. JR was like, man, look, you can work.
He says we didn't mention Legado de Fantasma. That's true. That's Santos Escobar. He came in. He came as Legado del Fantasma. Mask and everything, and then he did. Now I'm gonna tell you why I wasn't tripping about his gimmick change, is because he has so much personality as Santos Escobar. I was like, okay, I get it. It was the same way with Andrade. When he was what was his name?
Andrade.
No, before he was Andrade, he was
Cien
No. He was a mask guy. He was in New Japan. Like he was
I forgot what it was. Hold on. We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, he was in New Japan. He was an IWGP Intercontinental Champion. He came in with the mask, and then that's when they turned him to Andrade Cien Almas. When same thing, he took the mask off, and even without the mask, as little personality as he has, like right now in AEW, he was still a big deal as Andrade. Santos Escobar is going to be bigger than Del Rio ever was. Man, I think they're looking for that next big. The only thing he doesn't have that's probably going to hurt him long term is probably just his size.
Yeah.
Like if he was bigger, he'd be in the main roster right now. Santos Escobar and his group. Like, they're always looking for that, that next big Latino superstar. They thought it was going to be Andrade and stuff like that, but they need guys that can kind of, carry a promo. You know what I mean? Like Del Rio was he came in like, first of all, with a very different gimmick. He was a Mexican aristocrat. You know what I mean? La Sombra. That's what he was. That's exactly what he was.
La Sombra.
Sometimes when you wear a mask as a lucha, it kind of stunts your personality a little bit. You had guys like Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik that had personalities. You know what I mean? But they were able to speak with their mask versus the kind of the mouthless, luchas that have to wear that kind of straight face, and there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? But there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of young talent, a lot of great tag teams, a lot of great things going on in the world of professional wrestling in every company. You know what I mean? And the best part is everybody has a dealer's choice. You like what you like, you can go enjoy what you like.
Pretty much.
So
that's the beauty of wrestling, man.
I mean, that's the thing. We're living in an age now where people have their pick, and they can do what they want, and they can enjoy what they enjoy, and it's it always makes for great conversation at the end of the day. So like I said, man, I appreciate you, brothers. We had a good time tonight. We had a lot of guests in here. Like I said, I guess we made the public. We should probably make this public a lot often because it was a bit of a party here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate everybody coming in the building. You know, engaging with us, talking.
Shout out to Nero, man.
Yeah.
Nero TNC from the UK, man. He jumped in. He was
Right.
part of the show.
Right.
We appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So shout out to everybody tuned in tonight. Appreciate y'all. If y'all didn't tune in and you watching the replay, make sure y'all check us out next week. We'll be here live again, more than likely, on Wednesday after 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Any final thoughts, fellas? Any final plugs?
No.
Nah.
All
I tried
right.
to think
Well,
something
y'all,
funny to say, but I have nothing.
Bro,
right
I drew a blank too. I was trying to come up with something. I'm like, man,
not
Hey, I
y'all
was-
two.
there's only but so many times you can do Macho Man impression.
Right.
Give me an AEW tag team real quick.
Just any tag
Yeah.
team?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like for what reason?
I'm making this graphic and I'm putting together a collage.
Young Bucks.
I already got them.
Oh, you need another one?
Yeah.
You got FTR?
FTR.
No,
yeah.
thank you. There we go.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We had a whole daggone show on him.
Well, you're right,
Come on,
but
bro.
my I'm trying to find P&Gs and stuff
Yes, sir.
Oh
I
yeah.
understand, sir. I understand.
and trying to gotta have a quick turnaround, brother, but also trying to make sure it's showcasing you know.
Understood, buddy.
You know.
But all right, folks, we about to get out of here. We'll catch y'all next week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I said everything I had to say. Now I can do that.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!